Hello there, ladies, gentlemen, and unicorns. Welcome to another Pixel Prophecy stream. And I'm so glad that you all could make it today. All that is 4 viewers today, but that's okay because I completely forgot to put out a tweet or a post or a toot or a fleet or whatever it's called nowadays to let you know that I'm streaming. So actually it's more people showed up by chance than I actually expected. Thank you so much. Do we have sound? Yes, we have sound. And Commander Stitch got 100% of his answers correct, closely followed by Venereal Disease, who got 0% right, but still partook in the quiz, and partaking is almost winning in my book. It's a bit like with the Ludum Dare. Hello, everyone. Oh, you know what? Let's try to have some music in the background. Let me know if it's too quiet or too loud. Should be some, let's skip ahead. Yeah, there we go. It should be some chill Minecraft music for now. Right, Disease says top 2, still though. Yes, exactly, top 2. I once heard when someone got 3rd place in something, it was not like, yeah, you got 3rd place, it was like, you can't even be the first among the losers. So, yeah, it's however you see it, I think. So this was rather, I would say, not the friendliest take of saying, congratulations, you placed 3rd. Yes, C418 or Cape, as I called this music maker. And yes, console, exactly. That's good old Minecraft OG soundtrack that I have in here in my wonderful list of things that are playing. Also, you can see it down here, the currently playing list. When you're watching this as a VOD on Twitch, chances are you're not hearing any music. This hopefully this is intentional, because you never know when you get a copyright strike with some archived streams. I've had it before that I had to go in and filter out a music track that was offending in terms of copyright infringement, so I just had to mute it and filter it out, and which was much more of a hassle than I intended. But all good. Hopefully you can hear it. Right, so what's in store for us today? Well, as is always, my saying is I had an exhausting week, and so I thought today or the weekend was spent rather chill. I went to the cafe with Connie, worked on my game, you know, work, free time is work time. And I also finished Atom Fall from Rebellion today, or at least I got two different endings that I tried today. And one thing that I almost overlooked was, because I was gaming the entire day, I didn't get my steps in. Sorry, bumping the microphone again. Didn't get my steps in, so I went for a lengthy walk. And on this walk, of course, I had with me my trusty portable camera. And as I was walking and thinking about the game, I realized they did most of their models or textures, not as flat textures, but actually when you get closer to them, they do have a normal map. And I think it was done by Photogrammetry. And since I was out and about anyway and everything was littered with textures, I thought I'd just take some pictures and textures and just try to see if we can make some models that I can use down the road, maybe for some game project, one or other kind. So I never know when I'm going to use it, because I had before already multiple times the occasions that it was good that I had a 3D model of something, just like a pile of rocks or just some pebbles on the beach, and suddenly you could make something out of it. And Commander Stitch, oh, that's so nice. Yeah, thank you for the future Phil emoji there. That's the plan for today. And also, if someone is willing to talk about who has watched the Eurovision Song Contest, because this has always been a staple at our house to watch the song contest. For me is like I try not to get spoiled or hyped or anything, so I only watch the final thing and not any of the semi-finals or pre-rounds or anything. I want to know as little as possible to be completely surprised. Anyway, this will probably come up because it was like our whole evening yesterday. Right, anyway, let's get started with good old Zephyr3D as Zephyr Light. And DC says, congrats about Austrians. Yeah, it was a fluke. Usually with Austria, we always joke that as long as we're somewhere in the middle, we're all right. We're all right. But that we've won, I mean, the song was very good, and the performance was just outstanding. When the guy just suddenly hit notes where you think like, how is this even possible? And apparently it resonated with a lot of people as well. My favorite was, I think, of course, Finland was funny. We had Latvia, the singing fairies, the elves with the tree, and so I liked it because it was so weird. Then of course we have Sweden, the Finns singing for Sweden. What was it? Iksi kaksi kolme sauna. So of course, yeah, this is so fun because it's a song about going to the sauna and how nice it is. It's a bit like the latte macchiato song, which is also just about coffee. I love songs that don't make any sense. Right, so we're here in 3DF Zephyr, and maybe I can show you already some of my recent photogrammetry projects. For example, I have, as you probably know, my home studio, which is in the basement. It's just a room that we keep calling the studio. And 2 weeks ago, I tried to locate the file. Oh dear, where is the file in image source? There it is, open image path. Okay, good. Everything is there. Yeah, I just wanted to try and see if I could get this studio up and running, so to speak, as a 3D model. Not because that I needed it, just because I thought there's a lot in there. Maybe it will work and it's going to look kind of cool. Just to that I'm able to look at my studio from my computer, so that I don't have to go downstairs. DC says my fabs were Finland, Albania, and Sweden. Yeah, they were Albania, right? Right. We said. Was it Albania where we thought, yeah, it's the Count and Countess Dracula. You can call it studio if there's at least one mic. Yeah, then it's a studio. We have at least one mic and one Frank and one Patrick. So there we go. So this is the 3D model of the studio, photogrammetically photographed, and you see here the floor, because it's just dull and reflective. It's mostly holes there. I cut out the holes because otherwise they would go inwards, and it was a bit like a nightmare scenario. So if I switch off the textures, you can see that it still looks kind of nightmarish, but I'm still surprised by the amount of detail that I was able to still retain there and get in. I mean, you can see there, that's a Vita, that's a PS, not a PS Pro, a PSP. We have the Famicom and so on. So it's kind of cool how well this was retained here. And I don't think that's even the textured mesh. This is just polygons with vertex colors. So if I get up closer, you can see it's not actually saying Sega. It's just the vertices, the individual polygons have different colors, but it all already gives, because it's just so dense, the point cloud is just so dense, it looks like it's already being textured. Now I go in VR for some Inception. Yeah, I should sit in this chair and have this thing here in VR and just fly around. This would be so 90s, right? So yeah, I'm not sure if I need. Oh look, it's Diablo 2. There I put it. I was looking for the box recently and thought, I have no idea where I put it, and now it's there. Anyway, yeah, like I said, I don't have a immediate use for it, but at some point I always like it when I have a photogrammetric model of something, is should I need it. Let's say I need this completely, or just a part of it completely recreated in 3D. Yeah, the 3D model here, this thing is, as you can see here, when we look at this old Mac here, it's not the best, but what is great about this is that you can use it as a template. So if I import this into Maya and then just plop down some blocks and squares and cubes, so to speak, then I can just remodel this entire thing and have already the what's the word, the proportions already in there, which is kind of cool. So yeah, like I said, it's kind of cool to fly around here in this thing and watch it from, let's say, from above and see how this plays out. Like I said, in case I ever need it, I have it. And so again, this made me think about doing some photogrammetry. And also, like I said, in the Atomfall game, most of the things are done photogrammetrically. It's a hard word. So I thought, let's start doing these things as well. So what do I have here today? I got lots of things here: forest boulder, ground 1 through 5, moss, forest pile, and so on and so forth. So apart from the home studio, those, and maybe the Vöcklerbruck skull, yeah, I can show you this one. Apart from those two folders, everything else has already, or has not yet been photogrammetrically processed. So this is just wrong combination. This is just something for today or for later. And I thought, yeah, today I think I'm in the mood for some photogrammetry. So let's start with something simple. I would say my first ground set here. So those are the individual photos. As you can see, it's just going in a circle around a patch of ground and going slowly like a spiral, just going closer and closer to the ground to get some sense of 3D depth. And Badger Dash, my god, Badger Dash again! I'm at a loss for words. Thank you so much for dropping by and gifting subscriptions. Again, I'm so blessed to be this channel that where everyone who's watching right now and not lurking is a subscriber. Isn't this amazing? Thank you so much. Oh, and Donchi is here. I didn't even know you were here, Donchi, whoever you are. But again, Badger Dash, thank you. Or should we do the Gen Z heart? Is it that? Or is it that? I always get it wrong. It's this or this or this. Again, thank you. Big heart from me. It's now I wish I would have spent more points on Ukraine, on their song at the ESC, because it was just so mellow and so 70s and so colorful. I liked it a lot. Again, thank you, Badger Dash. Please, everyone who got now a subscription, please say thank you to Badger Dash. And what does your subscription to this beautiful channel entail? You get some more emojis that you can use, or emotes, I think, as they called here, or you can even pronounce them emotes when you're... Oh, and thank you for Venereal Disease for redeeming Unicorn, which means I have to have some water because it's always fun and healthy to stay hydrated. Yeah, this is also probably one of my favorite emotes, right after the technical difficulties one. So yeah, let's and this is my fallback texture photo. It's the one from above. Just in case something did not work, I can use the one shot from above. Okay, apparently XNView is about to crap out. And I closed now everything. Anyway, so I think let's import these photos and see what we can get done. The cool thing about 3DF Zephyr is it's very well automated. So like I said, like you just saw, I just dragged the photos in and it said here, yeah, it was shot with a Galaxy S23 Ultra at 6mm and already has the calibration here. So I just click next, then it asks me for, okay, what the category is it urban, human body, surface scan? I would say general because it's not really a surface, or is it? Surface, close-ups, terrain. Well, maybe it's a surface then, if it actually says terrain or ground. And the preset is either fast, default, or deep. Let's just go with default and see how my rendering rig handles this, my computer, while I'm streaming as well. So, and Commander Stitch, you highlighted the message with 100 unicorn flakes or channel points. Thank you so much. So interestingly, this one photo could not be mapped, but maybe what we have should be enough. So these, maybe it's a bit hard to see, but these blue little blobs here, those are the different camera angles. And these little dots here, this is the sparse cloud of the reconstructed 3D features. So from what I can tell, it looks kinda okay. It's just the orientation where it sits on the axis here in space is usually pretty random. So this is why I usually say orthographic projection, and then just see if I can try to get the, since it's a ground scan, to have the ground actually at the ground. So if we look at it from the left side, then I can turn things here. Rotation, let's go 5, -5. Essentially, I'm just going through the different views, like left and front and top and bottom, and just try to align everything that it sits somewhere on the ground where it should be. And I'm always clicking OK, and then have to open the transform controls again, that it sticks, so to speak, because otherwise, for example, if I already have it here turned, and if I now turn on the other axis or rotate on the other axis, it's not going to work. So this is why I always click OK. It's a little bit cumbersome, but yeah, I've done this so often that I'm kind of used to it. DC says, I wonder how much water you'd have to drink if we all pool our channel points together. Oh dear, way too much. Usually I just say half a liter, and already had half a liter, no, a quarter of a liter today before while preparing. And Kersey says, oh, don't ask me how many unicorn flakes I have saved up. I would assume probably in the thousands, probably even in the 10,000s, Kersey. Thank you so much, by the way, for joining. Right, so camera. So I'm going to view it. So we had it from front, now I'm going to view it again from the left. And I think since the ground is a little bit wonky anyway, I think this should be okay. So if I switch the camera back to good old orbit camera, it's still orthogonal, but you can see, yeah, it looks kind of how it should be. And you also can see here that it's like a spiral. What I did here with the camera, as I was photographing, I was just, like I said, moving around in a downward spiral. So let's save this as Forest Ground 1. Forest Ground 1 version 1. And let's say, please make us a 3D model out of this, out of the point cloud that we have. And shouldn't take too long. Usually it depends on how many photographs you have and how difficult or how complex your scene is. For example, for the studio I had about 400 photographs, and it took about half an hour to create the model from this. So with the photos that I have made today, we should be fine. We should be fine. 150,000, no joke. Wow, congratulations. I mean, if I would give you €1 for every flake, unicorn flake, you would have at least €1,000 then. I'm not so good with math, but I think this is how it works. Thank you, Kersey. Joking aside, really, I do appreciate it that you watch this often and this intensely, that you accumulated this amount of points. It means a lot to me, especially because I only stream once a week, and somehow you managed to get this amount of points. It's congratulations. It's like I said, I'm just so blessed to have you beautiful, wonderful, amazing viewers here. And thank you, Commander Stitch, for feeding the automated unicorn. I haven't fed it. I haven't fed the unicorns in a while, but I have something special while we're waiting that my mom brought me. And yeah, it's those are handmade. I can show you a bit closer what they are, how this looks like. Those are pumpkin seeds, but coated in milk chocolate. So roasted pumpkin seeds in milk chocolate. And I'm from a part of Austria that is famous for the pumpkin seed oil and everything pumpkin. So it's like, it's a bit like, was it Minnesota, the cheese state? And here in Austria, it's Styria, it's the pumpkin state. So for me, this is a source of pride and patriotism to eat these kinds of things. And they're super tasty. I had to restrain myself to not keep on munching them while we were streaming. Kersey says, so what is going on right now in general? And Commander Stitch is one of those viewers. Wonderful. Thank you, Commander Stitch. DC says, oh man, that sounds heavenly. Pumpkin seeds, top 5 seeds. Yes, indeed. Usually at work, I tried not to snack as much because, you know, you get a little bit chubby if all you do is eat chips and have sweetie snacks. So I switched over to nuts and seeds, which of course, if you have too much nuts, apparently they also are quite fatty. So you feel like you're eating healthy, but still the amount of fats you intake is kind of the same as you were eating chips, almost the same. But yeah, I went for pumpkin seeds, just roasted pumpkin seeds, and it's great brain food because especially when I'm working or mulling over a problem, I need something to do with my mouth. When I was a kid, I was just chewing on my nails and didn't really, my parents thought that I was having, I don't know, maybe minor mental health problems because I was chewing so much. But in my teens, I found out, no, I just need to occupy my mouth with chewing something when I'm thinking. And this is why when I'm doing programming or something, I can go through bags of chips or bags of popcorn. And so, yeah, having seeds and nuts is always the healthy option. Yeah, what's happening on screen, says Cursiboo. Yeah, right now I had the photos of a 3D model, or in this case, it's still a model, but it's just a ground scan where I photographed the ground here in the forest. It was just the path, so this is why it doesn't look like foresty. And from that, I created a point cloud with 3D Zephyr. And now what it is doing is it's drawing pretty graphs, while in the background it is computing the photo consistency. Essentially, it's computing the mesh. And usually this doesn't take long, but apparently for this it takes longer, maybe because we're also streaming in the background. But overall, as long as the graphs are moving and there is something happening, I'm all happy. Astonishing that you didn't start to smoke, right? I mean, when people were smoking, people thought I was smoking when I was in college. By the way, this was back in the day, yeah, I'm sounding old now, when you could smoke inside public buildings. I recall when I was studying, people in the breaks, they were just gathered around where the ashtrays were and the vending machines. And so they were just standing in little circles and just conversing and chatting, and I was among them, and pretty much everyone was smoking, but me, no, I was the one having the terrible vending machine coffee. So coffee was my choice back then. Oh, look at this. See, this looks kinda like it worked. Let's switch over the camera from orthographic projection to this one here. And I mean, it's an easy model, right? It's something that as long as you have a bit of depth going on there, it's going to look okay. It's going to look all right. I mean, I'm not trying to go with a microscope over it, but just so that the impression there of depth feels realistic and workable. And I think even here with this little twig that we have here, or is this a stone? Anyway, it kind of works, right? Even here at the borders. I mean, this one of course should not be part of the model, but overall, I'm kind of surprised how well this went actually. I mean, we can look here at the mesh, and you can see it's a dense mesh, especially if we get further away from the camera. You can see how many polygons this thing has. I mean, we can even have a look at the properties, and it will tell us. And we have, yes, 2.2 million triangles in this little thing. So is this game ready? I would say not quite, but we can definitely use it as a starting point. For example, to create a normal map, and then just use it as a flat texture and use it with a normal map, and voila, we have something that looks kind of cool and realistic without having to worry about polygon count. So let us save this for now, and let's see what else I have. I mean, having different forest grounds is all nice and dandy. Like I said, I have 1 through 5 different surfaces. But you know what? Let's try have a look at this little boulder here that I found. Is it a boulder or is it a rock? What's the difference? As a not native speaker, I always use the terms interchangeably, but I think it's a boulder if it came from a mountain, and it's a rock if it just sits there. Please, illuminate me. So, okay, I'm trying to do the same thing now, just dragging in the photos, saying, okay, this is going to be general, not a surface scan. And let's run the reconstruction from these photos. In this case, it's 17 pictures, if you're curious how many it is. I think a boulder is larger than a rock. Okay, so it's the size then. Then it's a rock, apparently, probably. So since I was more looking for photogrammetry for 3D textures and not the entire object, you see here I also focused just on the surface because it was a relatively flat surface. And the cool thing here is it kinda worked. And surprisingly, even the orientation in space of the point cloud here, it looks kinda how it was. So it was really, usually, like I said, usually it's a gamble that the orientation when you import a 3D object here or create a point cloud is correct, but in this case it really was. So again, switching to orthographic projection, viewing from the left, bounding box, yeah, this looks good. Then camera view from front, and yeah, this could be a bit better. There we go. And now I can, since I'm just interested there in the surface, I just bring it down to the grid level there. So view from, let's say, top, and orthographic projection off. And yeah, kinda looks good. It's probably hard to see, so if I zoom out and then zoom in, you can see here again the blue dots, or the blue little pyramids essentially are the camera views, and the dots there is the point cloud of the features that were recognized to overlap in all the photos. This is how this photogrammetry thing works. Let's save again. Call this was Forest Boulder, so it's Forest Rock. I should rename this, but yeah, you know what, let's go with this. Just call it Forest Boulder for now, because if I change it now, then I have to relink the photos. 3D model generation, all cameras, preset default, category, general, and run. There we go. Again, our wonderful log and system info. I love it when this all is visible, because it really shows that, okay, it's doing something. The computer is thinking. Beautiful. Don't disturb it. Console says we can just come up with a new rule. If you can throw it, it's a rock. That's a good rule. If you can throw it, it's a rock. But what's then the difference between a stone and a rock? Is a stone like a pebble that's rounded, and a rock is somewhat jagged? And DC says, is that based on the average person or like the strongest person? Ah, see, it's interesting because we're already getting into philosophical terms here. But I mean, if you theoretically could pick it up and throw it, but with one hand, or do you need two hands, or is it a boulder if even Obelix cannot pick it up himself? We will have to really figure this out in today's stream. Yeah, talking about these pumpkin seeds, I have another thing from my mom, and those are pretty much the same thing, but they are covered with different kinds of chocolate. So the orange ones I think are mango chocolate, and the pink ones are strawberry chocolate. And again, if regular milk chocolate, pumpkin seeds covered in milk chocolate, didn't get you addicted, these probably will. So if we look here at our stony surface, we even have here some of the ground, which is kind of astonishing because I didn't plan to shoot the ground. And we even have here some leaves of the dandelions. Yeah, this didn't reproduce that well. But again, since I was looking just to get a usable stone texture with actual depth information, I think we can almost call this a day, and even have here some I mean, I can almost use this as a cliff in a jungle. I mean, of course, yeah, for that maybe the polygon count is not big enough. There's this mesa on top here, but I mean, theoretically you could use it, or at least as a template, as a scaffold, and then just plop different kinds of stone textures on top of it. But again, I'm surprised how well this is working. I should stream every time I'm doing 3D models or photogrammetry, because it's not always this well working. So let's see something a bit more interesting. Well, I have some dirt, some tracks here in the dirt, and I wonder how well this worked. Because I just took the photos as I was walking, and this one is a little bit unfocused, so I'm going to delete this. And yeah, we will see if Zephyr understands where the different, or is this a surface scan? No, let's just keep it general. How the individual photos line up. By the way, if you want also to do some photogrammetry of your own, you do not have to buy 3D Zephyr. I mean, I bought it. It's called 3D Zephyr Lite. There's also a pro version that's of course more expensive, but there's also a thing called Mesh Lab out there. I think that's open source. It's a bit more cumbersome to work with, but I also had some good results with it. I just like the ease of use that I have here with 3D Surface. So apparently all of our camera photos got matched, which hardly ever is the case. And again, when I'm turning around, tumbling around here, we can see there is a surface in some place. Again, I'm just going to align it. View from, let's go with left. And like I said, it's a bit annoying that I always have to hit OK and then open it right up to reset, to freeze my transformations, as it's called in Maya, for example. So camera, that was left, right. Let's see from the front. Okay, here from the front. It's kind of hard to tell, of course. Console, our Kersey says, got any objects to scan, not just the ground, like it has photos from every angle? Yes, I have an object. I have an object that we can try next. So yeah, I'm curious how this works out, because like I said, it's a bit wonky here, I feel. And as you can see here from the placement there of the cameras, I don't think I moved in this direction, so maybe there is some weird overlaps, or the software assumes some weird overlaps. But yeah, we will see how it looks. In the meantime, I can show you the 3D object that we can try next, because that would be a tree stump. And for this I have 45 photos, and I think it's the tree stump. I'm not quite sure if it is the actual one. Okay, that's too blurry. That was used in one of the Alpha Wolf videos, where I was just kneeling behind the tree stump and doing some funny bits. I mean, I think it was where we shot this. So the good thing about this is, especially when you photograph organic things like boulders or rocks or cliffs or overgrown stuff, it has lots of features there, like all the little details. It's very relatively easy for the software to find matching points among all the photos. If you have something like it's just a white wall without any dots or any structure or texture to it, it's super hard to get alignments or to have matches there. And the other thing, what's even worse, is what we had in the studio, is if you have a surface that's without much features and also is reflective and just maybe dully reflects something, so transparencies and reflections, you really cannot do this, cannot photogrammetrically generate generate these objects. I mean, you can photograph them, but with the reflections, it throws the algorithm off. So what can you do in such cases? Good that you asked. I recently found out there is something called photogrammetry spray, or probably it's a more scientific term. But essentially, yeah, it's like a spray can, and that you can spray over things, and which has a color in it, and I think even a light structure. So assume like vanilla ice cream with all the little black dots, just something that you can spray on very reflective objects. And the cool thing is it dissipates after 10 minutes or an hour or something, so it completely dissolves into air because it reacts with oxygen, I think, which is kind of cool. So look at this, you know what? It actually did kind of work. Again, I'm surprised how well it did with this kind of track. Even the little twig here, especially when you have things that are like very wispy and overlapping, and you have like holes here, they hardly carry across. For example, here you can see how this part of the twig here, the front part, either melts into the actual object, so there is no space here because it didn't photograph it, or in this case where I didn't have enough photos, where we just have this broken off segment here. So yeah, Kirsty says nice trademarks, and also the alpha wolf. Ow! Yeah, I'm pleasantly surprised how well that went. Let's save this as tracks. I had this as tracks. Forest trademarks 1 trademark. So let's try the tree stump. I'm surprised how well it does here. Console said, I just tried to run Zephyr in a Windows VM on my Mac. The installer insists that it needs an Intel CPU. Oh, really? Does it? Wow, okay, that's quite something, because luckily I do have an Intel CPU, but I think I used Zephyr also on an AMD CPU for what it's worth. And Jerem Watt says, oh my, OMG, I love looking at photogrammetry in Sketchfab. Yeah, photogrammetry, for some reason, also with me, it has this weird spell. It's like, it's real, but it's in the computer. How is this possible? Okay, talking about things that are possible, apparently we got some amount of cameras that didn't quite match, or it couldn't match those cameras. And we can see here it's probably those that have a slightly different, if we look at the thumbnails here, these here that have a slightly different color correction. The color correction is just a different white balance that happened when I was photographing it. That's the downside when you have a smartphone. It also does these kind of smart things. So maybe what I could try is to recreate this from the cameras. Say workflow advanced. That I just say to the algorithm, hey, please create something. How do I do this? That I just recreate the thing, new project. Let's do a new project. That I can say, yeah, maybe let's do a deep analysis of the photos and not just the quick one. So it found all the photos, and like right here, the default, let's go with deep, and the category is, yeah, let's again go with general and hope that this is not too bad for the algorithm. Otherwise I probably have to go into Photoshop and do the white balance again. Yeah, it's these kinds of smart things, exactly. If only there would be someone with color grading skills. Indeed, you always need a colorist when you least expect it to need someone. And lucky for us, yeah, this I can I probably should do this now because we even got now worse matching here. So I think, again, I think it has to do with the color changes in between there. I mean, the overlap, as Zephyr says, should be about 50 to 60% between photos. So maybe the overlap is just not there between the photos. But I mean, yeah, again, probably it has to do here with the color stuff. And Console said, sorry, I meant Intel/AMD, but not ARM. Yeah, right. The ARM thing, that's I feel like they're still kind of new, despite being around since the 80s, I think. But especially for notebooks and things that use very little power. I mean, it's a reduced instruction set, so probably it's not as trivial to compile for ARM as it is. But again, I think ARM in the mid to long term is going probably to be the future, unless for super advanced, maybe scientific applications, because it just uses so much less power for the same bang you get. For the same buck you get, no, for the same buck you get more bang. That's the thing. Okay, so how do we do the color grading for this? I mean, I can try it and just go by eye, or we can, and now it comes here, the specialized things that I have as a colorist. I have here this thing called scopes, and you can see what it is. It's a vector scope, and down here we have a waveform monitor, and I think even a waveform parade. So how this works is that I can select here, let's go here in the navigator, a part of an image, and it will just plot this image here on the vector scope. A vector scope works like this. Here in the center is, it plots colors here in this circle, essentially. So here, when something is at the very center, it has no saturation. It can be bright, it can be dark, it can be gray, but all we're looking at is not brightness, but just saturation. So, and the more saturated something is, here in our case, yellow and green is here. And the further it goes out from the center towards yellow in this case, the more yellow it is. In the other direction, of course, here is blue. Down here we have cyan, green, and up here we have magenta and red. So essentially this is what we're seeing there. And I selected this region here down in my navigator, that it's not as taxing on my system because there's a lot going on right now. So, and from this, when I switch between these two images here, you can see how it changes here, how the saturation changes compared when I compare these two shots. Here it's obvious that everything is slightly more saturated towards the yellow. And as a colorist, this slightly, what does slightly mean? Especially when you want to match shots, or in this case photos, with each other. You have the scopes that they can tell you how much exactly, and not just, I don't know, a little bit, maybe more than a little bit. So for this, I have here now my adjustment layer, where I just can say more saturation, please. Is it the saturation? And you can see what happens there on the vector scopes. So it's not just saturation, because if I go back and forth, this little arc that's happening there. Okay, when I zoom in, interesting, when I zoom in, I change it. So like this. So this little arc that we're having, this is where actually the mean distribution of the hues in this image are. So they're kind of similar, but not quite. So just doing the saturation here, upping the saturation, just changes the scale of this little arc, but not actually where it sits. I mean, it was a little bit of saturation was okay, but we need to shift it all towards yellow. And for this, I use a color balance effect and just say here on the midtones, let's make them slightly less green. Was it the midtones? Well, then let's try the shadows. So, and when I'm moving here in my properties, you can see the corresponding what is happening here on the vector scope. So at some point, certain colors won't go any further in a certain direction. And again, it's just going back and forth and trying to see, okay, what is the difference? And the difference in this case is, for example, if you look here at the background, this has pretty much the same green tone as the foreground. And in here, as soon as I go against the light, the camera switched to a different setting. And apparently this is not as yellow as the rest. So we don't just have a different saturation and hue problem or distribution in there, but it's also spatially. And where in an image this happens, you cannot see this on the vector scope. This is really something that you hopefully can divine out here by looking at the waveform here. But since it's overly noisy, yeah, it's hard. So I do just a quick adjustment just for the top part. Again, I'm going to say, yeah, it's going to be a color balance. And for this, I'm using the adjustment layers or the masks that we have in Photoshop. So classic, gradient, basic. So if we look here at this gradient, it just says, okay, where it's white, it's going to affect fully what is happening, and where it's black, not at all. So, and this is pretty much the gradient how I want it. And now when I change here the yellowness, it only affects the top part here in the image. And this gets us a little bit closer, still not quite there, but it's closer. So I move this into a group and also try hue and saturation. And with that, we're kind of close. Maybe it's a bit too saturated and clipping now. And yeah, those are the things. You're never done with color grading. And all this, again, it's not to make a pleasant picture or anything. It's just in the hopes that when this is similar looking as the other photo, that for photogrammetry, it will work. It should be easier for the software to match the points. So I would say this is now reasonably similar, right? No way to auto match the color, says Cursibu, probably. But again, with auto match, what's not going to be matched is again this gradient there in the background. But yes, I mean, we could have tried, right? I'm at a point where I don't really try auto match anymore, because I've been burned quite often by it before. So if I apply this now to all the other photos, so again, I'm just going to copy and drop the layers. The only thing is here that our gradient for some reason slips between these shots. So yeah, I'm going to oversave them, overwrite them essentially. Or is this a good idea? Or should I keep them as a backup in case it goes? You know what? I don't care. I don't care. I'm just saving them destructively because I think it's could not save is already left open in another application. Oh, of course. Yeah, this makes sense. So let's clear this and not going to save it. No. Or better close it. Better close it even. So what else have I missed? I mean, like match the pics, Phil can make it look good on its own. Oh yeah, then Phil would be out of a job. Yeah, that's also the thing with AI, where now it's increasingly the question is, hey, can colorists, can't they be replaced by AI? And as with any jobs, so far, the quality is not consistent of AI. I mean, AI can give you a very cool look and can pull it through consistently, relatively speaking. But then you have the weird outlier shot and suddenly it cannot match it. For example, if you shot everything, maybe something like with this scene, and it doesn't have a frame of reference for how things look. For example, how does skin look when it's right after the dusk, when the sun has set and the sky is very blue. So how does skin look when it's reflected against the sky? And as a human, we know how skin looks, or we have a good understanding how it looks right, even if we don't know the exact circumstances where something was photographed, because we know humans, right? And AI really has troubles with skin tones, and sometimes it goes horribly wrong. So far, I mean, at some point probably these things might get fixed, but there's always something that you cannot control, and then of course you need to fix it. And if you don't have a colorist anymore at your place who can fix it, you're on your own. And yeah, because if you had a colorist, then probably it wouldn't have been really the problem to fix it. Oh, talking about things fixing, look at this. This is my background, desktop background now, because I misclicked and have set my desktop background now to a slideshow of this overgrown tree stump, which is probably not what I intended. So you've seen my background color. This is the dullest possible background that you can have. Let's see if I can get it switched on as well, because like this, like images or sunsets or beautiful sceneries are always distracting to me. So how can I do this? Personalization, no, not color. I'm looking for the background. It's one of those again. So background, I want a solid color, and my favorite solid color is medium gray. Yeah, I'm this style. So let's see what we can do. Band. Bring back the gray. Thank you, Cursibu. Exactly. This is what you used from me, hopefully. So when we look at the thumbnails, you cannot really tell which are the ones that I edited and which are the originals, or the ones with the already color graded phone photos. So let's see if that really was indeed the problem, because if not, then it's nothing that I can do. This is the other thing with photogrammetry is if you didn't take enough pictures, or if they are blurry, or something is in the frame that you didn't rather want it in the frame, or overlaps somewhere, yeah, there's nothing you can do. All you can hope is for maybe there will be a better algorithm out there in some place, like Gaussian splatting, that sort of thing, or you just go out and do this again. So look at us. No, this was apparently not the problem. So we did this all for naught, all for naught. But at least maybe we have some part that we can use of this tree stump. At least I will try. So orthographic projection, camera view from the front. Let's rotate. No, this was not the object, this was the camera. Let's look at it from the left side. There we go. This is easier. And then I move it that it roughly sits on the grid. Then camera view from front. Also rotate it here, move it slightly up. There we go. And this should be it. The problem again is it's a bit hard to see. This is why I zoom out. So on one side we got lots of reference points, and here on the back side not as much, because the cameras, when I look at it from the top, the ones that were discarded were exactly those that I in this case needed the most. So let's see if at least we can have a prop that's maybe you can use it in the background, but not that a player maybe can walk around or something. Workflow, 3D model generation, all cameras, general, and we say high details. Let's try high details. Maybe this helps bring some of the detail back. Jerem asks, do you choose medium gray to refresh your visual palette? Yeah, exactly, that's the thing, because it doesn't have a tint in one direction. The funny thing is DaVinci Resolve, the color grading software that I use for color grading, the user interface was at least until a couple of versions ago, a slightly, I mean, it was gray, but slightly with a tint. I think it was blue. And of course, if you look at something that is gray and you assume is gray, you use this as your baseline for, yeah, this is the neutral color. This is, if I turn down the saturation, it should look like this. And because the user interface should be gray, at least from my understanding in a color grading software, and it wasn't, was throwing me off more often than I thought. I mean, usually when you do color grading properly, you're not grading in the software on the UI. You have a dedicated monitor that is calibrated and in the right color space, and is there is where the grading happens. But of course, when you work digitally, and I also use my screen as, I mean, it's calibrated and everything, but I also use it, of course, for other work and computing. So yeah, it didn't take many versions until they offered an option where you could say, yeah, please make all the backgrounds neutral gray. So yes, exactly. It's just for my eyes that I have a reference point for neutral gray, because again, perceptually, our brains are so prone to influences from and are so easy to adapt. For example, if you look at a white sheet of paper inside your house with fluorescent lighting, on a camera without proper white balance, it will look greenish, gray, blue. But your brain says, this is a white sheet of paper. And you keep looking at this sheet of paper, then go outside, the blue sky is hitting the paper. If you were filming this with a camera and setting the white balance to be locked, you would notice it that suddenly it really changes the camera, changes the color from fluorescent reflected light to blue skylight. But your brain still says, this is the same white as I saw inside. And again, it's on the camera when you shoot it without a white balance, it's really revealing what your brain is doing in the real world compared to what the camera is doing or is not doing. So yeah, again, long story, short answer is yeah, I use it as a baseline. And the automated unicorn pooped a rainbow. Thank you, automated unicorn. I just put it where the other rainbows are. I've heard mid-gray had slightly more blue in it, but I never knew why. Did it? Usually if it's a mid-gray, it should be super neutral. Depending, of course, on what color space or white point is set on your monitor, this will be the neutral gray. There is, of course, some sort of standard that is, we've had it with white balance, if you know it. Usually white balance is, you can set it from, let's say, 2200K to 9000K. What is K? K stands for Kelvin, and actually this is, as some of you know, a measure of temperature. So what does temperature have to do with colors? I mean, of course you say color temperature, but physically speaking, it is the perfect black solid of something, and the amount of heat that you have to heat it up, it glows at a certain hue. So if you have this black mass and you heat it by 2000 or 3200 Kelvin, it will have the same color as a fluorescent, as an incandescent light bulb. And if you keep heating it up to 5500, 6500, if you heat it up to 6500, this idealized assumed gray black body will be white blue, and 6500 Kelvin is the cinema standard for white point. So when you have your monitor white point set to 6500 Kelvin and you have a neutral gray, it will look a bit blue, especially when you are inside and watch it under fluorescent or incandescent lighting. So again, this is why maybe mid gray can feel a bit blue, because again, it depends on, this looks kind of nice, it depends on the calibration, the white point of the device that's being displayed on. Look at this. I mean, it could be better, especially here where we have some very murky details, but overall it's kinda okay. We got even here these little twigs that look like ink blots exploding in a freeze frame. But overall, this worked, again, much better than I anticipated. Let's save this before I have to do this all again. Tree stump 1. Then I have another object for us. Forest tree stump 1 version 01. Was the dress black and blue or gold and white? Good question. And I think, as always, it depends on context. And this, I always tell people when I said, yeah, white balance is how our brains adapt, because it depends on the context. If you see it in daylight, it looks like white and blue, and if you see it in incandescent light, it looks like gold, or the other way around, I think it was. So if we do not have this kind of reference, our brain, our perception just dithers between those two states. Black body radiation, I never knew that was the source of that term. Yeah, exactly, black body radiation, thank you. Please, of course, look it up. And Kelvin and white, I think if you have color, temperature and white balance, but I'm pretty sure it's where this term comes from. And if it's not, and you learn it right now by checking Wikipedia, please let us all know, especially me, that I'm not keep perpetuating something that's probably incorrect there. Look at even this freaky little hole here. Just turned out quite well. Again, there is lots of detail here, and the less detail you have here in the photos, you can see it here at the borders where it really fizzles out and it just becomes unfocused and blotchy compared to this part here, where it's, again, this is not a texture. These are just colored polygons if we zoom in closer, or actually it's the colored vertices that we're looking at. But because of the number of them, it looks like it's being textured. And of course we can create a texture for this, but again, it will take quite long and will look just minimally better than this, because I mean we already see the colors here. If you're not interested in what the colors look like, we get here, this is the actual mesh, and it's a spongy mess. I have to tell you. But here it's easy to tell where definition is missing. So in this part here in the background compared to the same part here in the foreground, again, lots of very noisy details, and there it's a bit of blotchiness. So again, this would be helpful for us to figure out, okay, where things went awry. And also here, when I look at it from the top, yeah, more detail here. Anyway, Jerem says, wait, what's the black mass that gets heated? A fictional blob? I'm learning so much. I think, yeah, it's an idealized black body, as Kersey Boo said. So I think black body radiation is not referred to that, is related to that. But yeah, it's a fictional black blob that you heat up. I don't know what it's made out of. Probably Wikipedia will tell you. I'm just giving you impulses into where to look stuff up. And hopefully, like I said, if I'm wrong, please tell me right away. The other object that I have, and this is probably not going to work very well. No, it's not this, but we have here tree snapped trunk. There we go. It's this set of photos here of this snapped tree trunk, which I thought was kind of cool, because usually you just see them like logged and not really broken like this one. So again, we have here some probably problematic photos, because here we have these dry leaves in there, and also a bit of a blue cast because I was shooting against the light. And I think in some point I have smack dab in the middle, yeah, this one here. This is not really usable, so I'm going to delete this one. It was a rough terrain where I took these photos, so yeah, let's see how well the reconstruction works. Again, I used the deep preset, hopefully to get more out of it as well. Console says, NN fellow body radiators. Oh, thank you. Thanks for the stream, Phil. That's nice. Good night, Console. Thank you so much for watching. Hope you have a wonderful week. And again, yeah, thank you. And I hope you enjoy your subscription. Rough terrain. Indeed, my fellow chums. Indeed. And yes. No. Okay, so all the pictures starting from this one here, which actually is the back side where I thought it hopefully would work, did not work. So again, we only have the tree snapped from one side, but maybe that's already enough to work. Thank you, Cursiboo. Exactly. Ah, fresh water. So, I think this is how it should look like. So it's slightly on its side. Orthographic projection camera view from left. Let's rotate this. Was this? Or was it like this? I think it was like this. So view from front. There is front. Yeah, this looks good. Because here I can tell from the camera movement if this is kind of level. I mean, I also was level as I was walking around this tree, so I think this looks right. Let's view it from the top. Yeah, this looks good for what it's worth. I mean, we can still rotate it should we need to. So snap tree, forest snapped tree version 1. Is this for a specific game or just assets to have? Exactly, just assets to have. You never know when you need them. Like I said before, I can show you where I think it was just a patch of pebbles or just some regular old ground where there were just some pebbles and some dirt, but it was relatively flat, and I made a relatively good model out of it. And I've been using it in so many renderings where I just needed some texture or something in the background, and then you can scale it up and it looks a little bit like a rock face or a rocky cliff and so on. So yeah, it's always good to have it and not need it than the other way around. And again, since photogrammetry is just so fun. I always like trying to get better at photogrammetry. Interestingly, I feel with Zephyr, the algorithms of the program compared to what they were like 5 years ago, I don't feel they have changed much. As some of you have seen before with a model of my studio, I think with certain kinds of machine learning, it could be improved really much. For example, really much, that's not how you say it, a lot. For example, I mean, right now it's just brute forcing everything, and the algorithm literally can't tell a stone from a house from something else. It's just dots that it connects and colors in. But if you have a little bit of machine learning where it says, okay, this looks like, I don't know, a flower pot or something, or this looks like a part of a shelf. So shelves are usually always rectilinear and have very flat and parallel surface points and so on and so forth. And maybe if these kinds of things find their way into the algorithm, I think they can, photogrammetry has, especially with Zephyr that I've been using, has a lot of potential. I mean, there are other things and papers, like I mentioned before, Gaussian splatting is something that I just heard and saw in 2-minute papers at some point, but I really want to have a look at it. It's like photogrammetry, but it also retains reflections, for example. And again, I want to look at how you can make models out of this. And the automated unicorn discreetly opens a pack of oats cookies. Oh, I wanted to save them. Automated unicorn. It's always the same. By the way, for those who are interested in my rig, what I'm running a Intel Core 14900 CPU, and it's the K CPU, but it's slightly underclocked. Otherwise, I can't cool this thing when it's rendering, and especially when I'm doing some 3D stuff like I do now, or some rendering or some video encoding. I want to be able to let the computer run for days, if necessary, in the summer, and without it just catching on fire. So this is why it's slightly underclocked, and I disabled all the turbo features of Intel. So that's this thing. Yeah, with memory I have 32 gigs for reasons that I'm still having this video in production, why it's not 64 gigs, because I actually have two rambers in there, but only one gets recognized, which is a shame because I paid for it. And my graphics card is of course the one and amazing Intel UHD, no, that's not the NVIDIA GeForce 4090, and I love this thing. So as we've seen it here, we have a bit of a problem now. It looks like a bit of a paper model, a bit weird, right? Because again, I couldn't walk around this model, the tree. So yeah, it's literally has fused there with the background. But the cool thing is, I mean, this part here, where I find where it's kind of interesting, where the individual fibers there of the wood stick out and break and so on. I think as a reference for how this looks, and if someone wants to be very thorough and model this in, I don't know, in a modeling software like ZBrush or something, at least we could use this as a reference. But yeah, Andrew said it handled the splinters quite well. Exactly, I was a bit afraid of how well this would go. So probably this is why I took lots of photos from this angle here. And again, the more overlap, the better. And yeah, this part here did not work, probably because I didn't have enough overlap, so that the algorithm was able to place where in the space of this model this photo was made. Also here with the ground. But overall, could be better. Still has this nice plasticity with it. It's a diorama. Let's face it. It's more of a diorama. Could sculpt away the problems for the most part. Exactly. That's. It's always better to have a starting point. At least I always say it's a bit like with drawing. If you want to draw something. And you start with a blank page, it's much harder to get the proportions and everything right than if you have something that's underneath the page that you can just use as a template and reference and just trace. So if I were to model this, I would use this for exactly that purpose, that I can just trace it or use it as a reference in case I need to. And again, it's much better to have this already as granted a bit lacking 3D model than just having photos. So let's clear. Anything else that I tried? Yes. For example, I've tried road tarmac, because usually with roads and tarmac, I mean, that's super flat usually. But again, if you look closely, you have these little bumps in there, and again, it's not that flat as you would usually assume it. But I mean, for game purposes, it could do just with a normal map. So I wanted to try and see how rough this gets when I'm running this through, let's say, preset through Photogrammetry. So this is a surface scan this time. Can't get more surfacey than tarmac. What else are you streaming today, says Jerem? That's the thing. I don't know. I'm open for suggestions. God, that road is in such good condition. Yeah, Austrian roads, everyone. This is when your country is not that big. All the roads can get attended to. And this, by the way, is just a regular rural road. So tractors and lorries, I think that's what the British say, the trucks go along this road as well. So it's surprisingly well kept. So front, let's start view from front. I'll probably Orthographic projection, that should be better. Then let's view from the left. Ah, look at this. It is indeed very flat. That's good. So this means I can relatively trust the algorithm. But if I zoom in, I can show you. I'll probably have to hit OK. But here the dots are pretty much there on point on the grid. So yeah, and this was me just jumping around in circles twice to get the tarmac. Cool. And from this again we can create a normal map and then use it as a texture. The only thing that I have to figure out is how to make a seamless normal map, because I have to make the model seamless for that and tileable, and that's something that I haven't wrapped my head around it. Road tarmac on version 1. Save 3D model generation. Surface scan, high details. Yeah, let's go with high details. It's not that many cameras. Jerem says, well, we come for you and don't much mind what you stream. So as long as it's something you enjoy talking about, /making, /playing, it should be good. Could even go on break while you decide. Could even go on break while you decide. You could go on break while I decide what to play. I don't understand quite what you mean. I'm sorry. Again, as not a native speaker, sometimes I have problems figuring out what native speakers say. This is, or sometimes you just mistype or autocorrect did something and this throws me off. Did Phil play his LD game on streams? That's Chrissy Boo. No, Phil did not, but we could look into this and do a short quote-unquote code review. If you're interested in, but yeah, I don't think my game is that interesting, but I indeed have not played it or shown it off to the world, so we can definitely look into this. This photogrammetry thing is just something that I wanted to do right after I got home from my walk, but then I also wanted to finish Atomfall, which I have done finally. And yeah, Atomfall, this is probably why I have a little bit of a British thing today, because it's set in northern Cumbria in the 1950s, and it's just, like I said before, it's just so British. It's like, oi chum, and that sort of thing. When you shoot someone in the back, they just go, oi JK, which is never, it always cracks me up. Right, so these curves look like the fever that I was having with when I was having COVID, but essentially the red one is the CPU, that's important, and the cyan one here, that's the graphics card. So apart from that, of course the disk occupied and the physical memory used, this doesn't really change much. So if those things just keep on going up and down, I feel like the computer is doing work. Jerem says, as in like you could swap to a be right back, on OBS, have some water, okay, do some stretches, right, and feel less pressure to make a hasty decision before coming back to the scene. Thank you for your concern, but it will be a hasty decision anyway. I will just go with what how my fancy strikes me. No, again, I'm mixing up sayings and phrases today. I'm really sorry. We could decide together on stream. That's what I'm here for. Maybe I should have some more water. I notice it. Kirsty says, YouTuber Fudge did a neat video recently about Britain in games and did high praise for Atomfall's representation. Oh, okay. Can you please link it to me? Because I'm always on the lookout for new stuff to watch. Right now I'm watching season 4 of Stranger Things, and the color grading is just to die for. And the good thing about it is I've noticed 1 or 2 occasions where either a mask slipped or some qualifiers weren't quite there where they are, and they had the exact same problems and same artifacts that I was having. And so I felt like, okay, I'm doing something right. If even the people who make the color grading for Stranger Things, they struggle with the same things like I am. So we're very close to seeing our mesh, and there it is, with some weird outliers there at the edges. It looks like you can fold them over. But yeah, this is road tarmac. just flat road tarmac with way too many polygons for what it actually is. How many polygons? Let's find out. It is 1.5 million triangles for just this piece of road. And if I switch off the vertex lighting, you can see where the overlap is of my photos. There is much more detail, and you cannot really see this in the textured or vertex colored version, but here it's very obvious where suddenly there is more detail. So it's the middle part. It's the middle part here. Let's see, is this really a hole? Well, could well be one. Cool. Nice. Again, I can see if I can make a normal map out of this. Because usually when I make normal maps from textures, I can show you which tool I use, but it's a fake version of it. It just goes usually by brightness and sharpness and finding edges, and yeah, just faking it that it looks kind of okayish, but of course it's not really physically correct. Jerem says, oh, as a colorist, what's your opinion on the film Asteroid City? I very rarely watch films and watched it solely because of the colors. It's the Wes Anderson one, right? I've only seen the trailer, but I find it feels like the colors or the grading was cranked up to 11, where usually when you want to go for this very is it cyan aquary look, and so it's purple and not purple, it's orange and teal, but I mean, for those who don't know the film Asteroid City stills, it has a super distinctive look, and as a colorist I find this strangely liberating to see, because with my clients often they say, hey, whatever you do, just knock yourself out, have fun with the footage, just whatever it takes, enjoy. And then I do just that and give people a look that looks like this, and they go, whoa dude, that's way out there. Yeah, they usually what's the word, deadheads. No, they are not. But and then they say, yeah, just dial it back a little more, maybe a little more, and then it looks like pretty much any other show with just a slight little look. And this look here is, as you can see, it is pretty striking. And it also, I'm not even sure if this is how much of it was done digitally or how much of this entire film was shot on actual film stock, because if I look at the grain, even here in this crummy JPEG rendition of it, it looks kind of natural. So if this is a digital grain, it's kind of good. And also what I see here is the response of skin tones. So you have here the red. As soon as something is super red, it has, I mean, with certain film stocks, when something is very saturated red, like this machine here in the background, it tends to get darker rather than brighter. And here they really went for this super bright and super vibrant skin tones. Again, this is really something that I feel like I want to see more of this, because it's so out there. I'm glad you find it liberating. Yeah, I think liberating is the word for it. Especially when you do corporate color grading. And with Red Bull, as I think I've said this story or told the story before, with Red Bull, I mean, in the end, we're not in the movie business, but we're in the branding and marketing business. Also color grading and all the the clips and little movies and pretty much anything that we make is marketing and branding. So the thing is, that means our competitors are not Netflix or Disney Plus or anything. Our competitors are like Monster and Coke and Pepsi, right? So this means I have to make sure with the Red Bull brand colors that they are never too close to any of our competitors' colors. And as with Monster, you know, the big Monster green, this very saturated, almost like bright neon green. This is really something that you rarely see, if ever, in Red Bull products, because we don't want to have this color in there. And so liberating in a sense for me is this, because this is a movie and not a branding product, so they can use any colors they want. And I've noticed it when I was working also at work when we were with my colleagues. We were watching something. I don't recall what. Maybe I can. Anyway, it was just a clip of an agency, and it was super colorful. And at some point, everything just exploded in this monster green, and every one of us just went gasp, because it is so ingrained in us. We thought, oh my God, are they allowed to do this? Can they use this color for this long and this intensity? Oh my! So yeah, and again, liberating is working on feature films where it's not about the brand colors, it's about the story. So corporate color grading sounds so sad. Yeah, it sounds worse than it is. Again, it's mostly make the brand colors, they should always look correct. Of course, look correct, as we had it before. How does dark blue look under a red tent? It looks black. And that's really a problem when you have someone from branding and they say, yeah, the Red Bull colors should always look exactly the same as they look in the branding guideline with the RGB values. And I said, yeah, but then it looks fake. And Red Bull is a brand that says authenticity, so we're not faking it. we're not just plopping our logo on there and tracking it. And then, yeah, but then it's not the brand colors. And I said, yeah, this is how it looks under these lighting conditions. Anyway, I'm rambling again, but yeah, this is corporate color grading. Again, it sounds worse than it is. I mean, any commercial project, commercials grading ads, they are all commercial color grading and branding and so on and so forth. So when you do movies, of course, on one hand you have more leeway, but on the other hand, again, it has to fit now with the story and with the color concepts that other people in the lighting department or costumes and set dressing, they all come together to make a movie. And again, color grading should not be there to interfere with their with all the work that they did. But yeah, Asteroid City, I meant to watch this when it came into the cinema, but into the cinema. See, I'm very British still. So, what else do I have that might be interesting for us? Well, I have a pile. This is just this pile of twigs there that I thought, again, for game projects, to have it somewhere where it's just you have something, but you don't want to place too many trees or foliage or any other vegetation around it. Just use this kind of pile. And so, I mean, it was not too easy to get in there, because you can see there is everything. It was surrounded by stinging nettles, and I didn't want to get too close there. So maybe we can still try this. Sue physics, exactly. That's thank you, Cursive. Exactly. That's always the best thing that you can do. Is the laws of physics. I need a lawyer then, and want to work around my way of laws of physics. Players like open areas. Yeah. Again, and maybe if you at some point, as I've had it in games, I mean, I like to explore as a player, and at some point you want to give. I think the hardest is for game makers is to have open spaces, but also variety. And I think the first time where I really noticed how well this could be handled was with Skyrim, because again, it looked like a Northern European landscape, but it was like a best of these kinds of landscapes, and still it felt kind of natural how they flowed into each other. So, okay, This is wrong, how this sits. And I also should do this orthographically, otherwise I will never ever arrive where I want to go. So left, that's a bit better. Front, camera view from front. Yeah, I think that should be. Oh no, that's the thing. It was upside down. All good. So camera, orthographic projection. And if I zoom out, you know what I can do? I can try to maybe increase the point size there in the display. Otherwise, it's really hard. I mean, especially on the stream with compression, you don't see anything usable here. So appearance, general, rendering, icon size, font size, number of decimals, rendering, sparse point size. There we go. Yeah, look at this. Yeah, that's much better. I should have done this before. Now it's much easier to see where the actual dots are here in the point cloud. I called this pile. Forest pile 1. Forest pile 01. Jerem says, man, when I think of the art of Skyrim, I think ambient occlusion. Yeah, ambient occlusion, right? When it first came out, this at first everything looked super realistic, and it didn't take long until it was super overused and like super strong or anything. But as always, modders came to the rescue then. But I find ambient occlusion sometimes very distracting, especially I think when it's screen space ambient occlusion. For those who aren't in the know, ambient occlusion is when you, for example, when you have a corner somewhere, when objects are close together, they get darker. Essentially, it's simulating the indirect lighting from the sky, where I mean, if you have a direct light like the sun, you have okay, something went wrong here with the 3D model generation, and probably won't be able to fix it. When you have a sun and a direct light, you have one shadow, and with object, but if it's overcast, there is no really this one direction where the sun comes from, but everything is overcast, and essentially it's like a half dome that casts light equally, and ambient occlusion is trying to fake this kind of soft shadowing. So the closer you have two objects that are together, the less light from the sky gets closer to them, and you have like dark contact shadows, and the closer things are together, the sharper the shadow underneath is, and the further they get apart from each other, the less impact this ambient occlusion has. And again, it's just an approximation, because it's super expensive to simulate like this half dome that's shooting light rays, millions of light rays at every frame from every direction, and many of them you never seen, only some of them cast shadows and so on and so forth. So again, this is there are different algorithms that can fake this kind of okayish, and the screen space one again just happens in the screen space. And what irks me is, for example, maybe you're talking with a character in front, and they're moving their hands, and suddenly their hands shadow the wall in the background with ambient occlusion, and it looks kind of fake. Anyway, I'm just rambling at this point. And Jerem says, I have to turn it off on some games. That's the thing, right? When it becomes too distracting, I know what you mean. But now with global illumination and ray tracing and path tracing especially, we're getting to a point where we do not actually need these kind of fake approximations anymore. Granted, if you have enough power in your GPU to calculate these kinds of things. But I mean, I was playing what was the game with? Oh yeah, Minecraft, right? When we played Minecraft with ray tracing, and it didn't have ambient occlusion, because already everything looked as it should and physically correct. So the closer you get to actual physically correct, the less fake algorithms and approximations you need, and suddenly things become much more easier and more unified mathematically, because in the end, to make a physically plausible picture, all you have to do is shoot an infinite number of rays on from light sources, and then just trace those rays until they hit a virtual camera lens or film back of this camera lens for that matter. And I mean, if you can shoot enough rays and trace enough rays at 60 times per second, you're good. Anything else like a screen space reflection, ambient occlusion, that sort of thing, those are all just crutches until we get there. Anyway, I'm rambling. Let's I mean, I think I have one thing that I wanted to try still to create, and it was this dirt pile. It was this pile here, and I wanted to try and to see if I can make this into a texture as well, because I have here this big rock, right? It's a rock and not a stone, and definitely no boulder, right? Or is it a stone? Jerem, you are an English native speaker. What's the difference between a stone? Where does a stone end and the rock begin? Where does a rock end and a boulder begin? Console AT was here before, and they said if you can throw it, it's a rock. Otherwise, it's a boulder. Of course, which means who can throw it? Can you throw it? Is it the average strength that is needed to throw a stone, and so on and so forth? But maybe there is this one simple explanation that I haven't thought of yet, what the difference is. Chris says, not always being photorealistic is always a good style option too, of course. Yeah, of course. I was just talking about photorealism. As soon as you try to depart from photorealism, and I mean, then the gloves are off, you can do anything that you want, and chances are it's going to be much more interesting, whatever you end up with. The thing with photorealism is it's super hard to get there. I mean, I feel like we're very close now, but still aren't there, especially when it comes to animations and so on and so forth. But as soon as you've reached photorealism, also with photogrammetry and so on, it's kind of boring, because then photoreal is just the next default thing. And if everything looks photorealistic, how do you stand out? And then again comes some sort of stylization. And how do films do this? Here we are again with color grading, because everything, I mean, unless it's an animation or something, films usually tend to be photorealistic because it's just the cheapest to shoot with actual cameras, shoot actual people. And with color grading and looks, you can find your own differentiations to others. But with games, I mean, you can have a game like Grease, I think it was called, and which looks like watercolor painting that you can play, or okami, that is traditional Japanese calligraphy paintings. And I mean, and I find it most interesting when you mix these things, like have a super stylized, let's say, graphic novel, contrasts and outlines and everything, but the light sources are physically plausible. I'm not saying physically correct, but physically plausible. And suddenly you have like one light source and it lights up super dark black ink on one character's face and so on. So for again, this I find the most interesting, where you pick and choose what looks good, what looks the most interesting on different styles, rendering styles. Okay, so I'm having slight gimbal problems here. I'm also turning the camera, which is again something that you want to avoid when you're working orthogonally. I think that's good enough. Again, that's flat enough. Let's save this and try this. I said save. I call this dirt pile, if I remember correctly. Yes, dirt pile 1 version 01. Cool. .22 photos. Good. Shouldn't take us too long. A skull, says Kosobu. Yes, I can show you. I can show you which one. And Jerem says, bolt is generally bigger than a skull. Oh, interesting. But unfortunately, English doesn't have a governing body, so as long as someone understands you when you're speaking correct, then it's correct English. Okay, when you're speaking correct English. Okay, good, good. English, difficult language. Stone and rock are generally synonymous, but in the context of construction, stone is the state of rock after it has been shaped or processed. See, I've learned something again. Thank you. Kirsty says, anyone remember Who Framed Roger Rabbit? Yes, that's a great style, right? When you have hand-drawn animation within a photorealistically live-action movie, right? For those who don't know, Roger Rabbit, 1988, my God, this is quite a while ago. In college, we had one of the animators as a guest lecturer from Roger Rabbit, and he did the shading. So again, it was just 2D painted like traditional cells on animation, and he with airbrush and so on, he did the shading of some of these cells. And he said it was horrible work. It was a lot, but in the end, the result was just so amazing when everyone looked at it that it was worth it. But again, I feel like, yeah, traditional animation. How were movies made? Because traditional animation, like drawing 24 frames for 1 second for a 90-minute movie. Why? Who would do this? This is overkill. And then we have, of course, masterpieces. Talking about masterpieces, I think, of course, it's upside down. But apart from that, it's I'm kind of surprised how well this worked out of the box. The question is, can I use this as a flat texture somewhere, or is it obvious that this at some point was, of course, not flat, but on a hill? I mean, again, if you have a hill in your game, and again, we have here these large stones or rocks, they maybe stand out a little if they are three-dimensional. Yeah, that's the word. But overall, again, I've been saying this a lot today. Overall, I'm surprised how well this worked. Saving. Cool. And Sen is here. Good evening, Sen. We're doing some photogrammetry now. Sen, you remember when we were going on photo expeditions and I was just shooting photographs or anything? It was kind of like that. Now I just make 3D models out of it. And Andrew JK says, I met one of the artists who worked on Roger Rabbit at SIGGRAPH. He talked about how he basically had to invent camera projections with yarn in a physical space to get the characters to stick to the ground during camera moves. Oh dear, right, that's another thing. This is really the frontier, so to speak, of live action and what's the word, motion control, right? That is really a thing. If you have a camera movement and you insert a digital character or even a hand-drawn character, let's say a character in post in the same space, what I've learned is, as a visual effects supervisor, is if at all possible, either try to avoid moving the camera or try to avoid showing exactly where the contact points between character and the ground are. Because if your track is not sub-pixel perfect, it will start swimming and it will look a little bit off. And in some of the student films that I was involved in, we had this problem where some digital created set piece was not, it always was a little bit swimming in the background because it didn't look like it was actually there. So the only way that we could get this done was to replace pretty much most of the background with the CG background, because we had some foreground action. So the entire background was then CG, but it looked kind of like the real action background, just part of this one set piece there, because it was constantly moving and you couldn't track it properly. Yeah, big headache, big headache. And oh, Frank is here. Hello, Frank. Welcome. I was just boring people with doing photogrammetry of my walk today, my walk through the forest. And Kirsty, you said something about a skull. And believe it or not, I have photogrammetrically reconstructed a skull. Well, is it a skull? Not quite. It was in a tombstone. And I didn't have much time there. So I just shot a video. And from the video I extracted still frames. And from these still frames, look at this. I recreated pretty nicely this little skull there on this tombstone. Ah, Austria. We love our skulls and graves and so on. I mean, there is really a pastime. Someone said, why would you hang out on a graveyard, or why would you go on a graveyard? Because I once said, yeah, we were visiting the city, and then we looked at the graveyard and the churches and so on. And I realized in some cultures you don't go on a graveyard. And in Austria, I mean, we're pretty, I would say, a morbid people. So it's nice if it's a nice day and you're overwhelmed. Yeah, you just hang out at the graveyard. It's nice, it's quiet. You look at some nice gravestones, some nice headstones. Look at the names and think, oh, there's an awful lot of this family name coming up. Yeah, that's welcome to Austria. Exactly, Kersey Boo. This is probably why we are so jolly. Right, so this was apparently from 1924, but renovated, but I think the original one was from 1760 something. But again, if I switch off the textures, and this is just a model, I mean, I'm surprised that even here the engraving kinda came across quite well. And again, it's just from, okay, it's a lot of photos, but it's not that many. Again, I was surprised by how well this worked out. Sen says, I remember when we went to a quarry once, exactly. Think you had your Minolta with you, and I was testing my Nikon D70. Jesus, I had long hair once. Feel strong, man. Yeah, I think you're sporting the Mr. Clean, the Meister Proper look right now. Yeah, back then, good old days. Yeah, right. We went to a quarry. There is a quarry close to my hometown. It's an abandoned quarry, I think, and it was just so picturesque. You know what? Maybe I can find a picture of this on the interwebs. And yes, I think that's not my picture that I took of one of the main buildings, but apparently it has a Wikipedia page. I didn't know. But yes, look at this. This is how it looked there. For some reason, it always felt so Wild West to me. So you have these rusty metal things that look like they're from the 1800s or something, and the dusty, pale wood paneling or wood planks there, and it's just tuned together. And I feel like, yeah, this is Frontierland. Ah, wonderful. Normalizing graveyards could be good for our mental health. Definitely. I would say so too, because as soon as you, I mean, when we're just chilling on the graveyard, I sound so goth. It's not you're not constantly contemplating the oh damn, what's the word? I'm looking for a certain word. As soon as I look it up, I will say, of course, yeah, I knew this one. That's the word. Oh, really? That's the word? Caducity? Perishability? So, if you're not on a graveyard, even as an Austrian, you do not ponder perpetually the caudacity of life. In German, Vergänglichkeit. I thought I knew this word, but I apparently never used it before or seen it before. So yeah, that's not what you do. It's just a nice park with some headstones. But you are goth. Well, thank you. Frank says he's used that one as well. Nothing like a portrait photography with ISO 1.5 plates. Oh yeah, this was because I was just puzzled, but Frank said before, I saw my brother's 2 new cameras yesterday. And one of them is an Olympus Pen EE2. I've never heard of this, which he got at the flea market. The other one is one of those things with a bellows that takes photos on roughly A5 size glass plates. Oh yeah, the good old large or medium format cameras. Sen, probably you also have photographed with these ones. I mean, some of you know that I was also trained as a classical photographer, and we also worked with those bellows cameras. And yeah, they are still around. I mean, they work exactly like they did in the 1900s. And you also have this veil that you throw over, because the image that you see on the plate is just so low in brightness. That is why you have this dark fabric over your head, so that you see what's happening. And of course, everything is upside down. If you want to take a photo with it, you take out the viewer. What's it called? Damn it! I'm grasping for words today. I'm sorry. So take out the diffusing screen, the ground glass. So it's the glass actually you're watching when you look on something on those bellows cameras, to be able to look through it. Again, you have to have this shroud. Then you see a upside down version of what you're going to photograph. So you make sure that the framing is nice, and then you close the aperture. You close the objective on the lens, the aperture. You take out in the camera the thing that has the screen that you could look at, and put in the magazine with the film. So now you cannot look at what the actual camera is pointed at. Then you take out. There is this one bar that protects the film. So you take this out. Then on the lens you say, okay, please expose now for 5 seconds, 10 seconds, or whatever. Then you're done, and then you put in again the protection for the magazine, and then you have an exposure. And again, yeah, as Frank said, it's A5 size. So actually, this is really a negative. And you probably wonder, why is this still used today? Probably not today, not as much. But the answer is architecture photography and high-end product photography. Because usually in studio photography, at least we're talking about analog photography here, then it's all about the size of the negative. Because if the negative is like this in size, it's a difference if it's this in size or about this. Because it's the grain of the film when you need to do some blow-ups or zoom in of certain parts. And if you just photograph this with a regular 35mm camera, at a certain point, especially if you do weird blow-ups like zoom in like 5 times or something, all you get is grain. And with these kinds of huge negatives, you can still see something. But again, now everyone is shooting digitally, so it's probably not a thing anymore. Anyway, can you type it out? I feel like existential dread is more the phrase someone might use. Existential dread, yes. The thing that I said, Vergänglichkeit in German. Here I can zoom in. So caducity or fugacity or perishability. Well, that I've used before. Perishableness. But yeah, it's the waning existence as life progresses. That's the thing. Isn't that a film stock explosive? Film stock okay, now I'm out of the loop. The explosive film is the actual film from the early... Oh, the nitro film. Yes. When everything was shot on nitrous film. And this is why it was kept in cans. And the thing with nitro film is, once it burns, you cannot stop it. You can even put it underwater, it will keep burning because the fuel is in the film, and it will burn until the entire film is up. And this is why, especially archived films from the 30s and 20s and 40s that were still shot on this super volatile film stock. I mean, you need to store them cool and dry, and no open fires allowed, because if one film burns, your entire archive goes up. Anyway, and old man Phil talks about pre-war stuff. The glass plates are fine. Yeah, yeah. In the early days, there was no film; it was glass plates. And if you have seen photos from the Wild West when they were out photographing, photographers had their little tents. And what did they do in their tents? They took the glass. Actually, it was like when you have a picture frame, it's like this kind of glass. But you mix your photosensitive film, because it was like a film that you apply on this glass. So, and this you would mix yourself in your little black tent. You mix the chemicals together and then apply it to the film plate, and then expose on the film plate, and you develop the film plate on the spot. Otherwise, you would have to keep it safe from any light or any leaks for probably days or even weeks. So this is why it was such a hassle to have a photographer with you in the old days. It's quite something when you think about it. And then you calculate the exposure time, and it says half an hour. Yeah, that is the other thing, because when you do the bigger the negative is, the more light again it needs. And especially if you have a lens that is this size, but of course you don't want everything to be blurry. You want an exposure that is super sharp from front to back. You expose with a very narrow aperture that is it's like just a pinhole, just really something. Yeah, when you push a pin through a piece of paper, this is the size of the aperture. So even on broad daylight, not a lot of light is going through there. And yeah, exactly. Then you do the calculations, and I had done exposures where it literally said, okay, the math says 25 minutes, but then there's the thing. If you expose, I'm not talking about glass plates, but film stock. If you expose film stock for such a long time or a super short time, there is a certain effect that's called the Schwarzschild effect, named after someone, but it sounds super ominous. Literally translated, it means the black shield effect. They always thought this was a certain effect. No, the guy was just named like this. And again, this means that if you expose a film for a certain length of time, the chemical properties of the film changes, and this has also been measured in the laboratory, and which would mean, okay, then if you expose for 15 minutes, but due to this effect and to the fact sheet of the film, it says then you probably should expose twice as long. So then you're there and you expose for 30 minutes something, and hope no one bumps the tripod, because then everything was for naught. Good old times. You see me light up when I can talk about super long, geeky, obsolete stuff. Dear. They are in metal cases for a reason, says Sen. Exactly, yeah, the nitrous films. Indeed. Frank says, yes, my brother does want to learn the wet collodion process. Wow, one of those years. Congratulations, Frank. Your brother is nerdier than I ever was, because this I did not do. But, I mean, it sounds kind of cool, right? Oh, yeah, Phil, is Redbubble worth it, says Jerem. I wouldn't mind designing a shirt or two. The good thing for you is Redbubble is an Australian company. So in your case, I would say this already awards it some more stars. In the long run, I had my returns diminish. The thing is, with their super predatory account fee, as they call it. So I would say maybe look into Spreadshirt if you're not against that. I mean, in the end, I feel like with all those print on demand or merch on demand shops, your margin as a creator has dwindled over the years, because everyone is just ripping everyone else off. The thing with Redbubble is you can specify a margin, how much you want to top on your products. For example, you can say, yeah, my stickers, I want 100% top on the stickers, which someone then, if they order a small sticker like this size, it will cost them like 5 or 6 euros, which is a lot for this small sticker. But then you would get $3. Let's assume, yeah, let's say I have a sticker this size, it's kind of cool, it's a small sticker, I sell it for like $6 with its 100% markup. So I pay Redbubble to produce this sticker for let's say 3 euros. And then I can charge 3 euros as well on top that I would get. But of these 3 euros on top, remember, I already pay 3 euros Redbubble, and of the 3 euros that I get, again, they charge a certain account fee that sometimes goes up to 45%. So of these €3, so if someone buys a sticker from you for €6, you get 1.5 euros. But wait, there's more, because of course then you have taxes on it that you have to pay. And of course, if it gets transferred to your account via PayPal or something, of course, they take their cut. So in the end, if you, I mean, now you can make up your mind if it's worth it to you. But in the end, I could, in my best times on Redbubble, I was selling that in 1 month that I had about 100 euros as a payout for me. And I thought, okay, this is kind of nice if I can ramp it up and make some more product versions and variants. Maybe this is sustainable. But then they started introducing their fee, and also maybe they changed their algorithm or something, and I've had much less sales. And nowadays I'm lucky if I get past 30 to 40 euros a month, despite selling actually a little bit more at first, but it's usually it's less of high product or high margin products like hoodies or phone cases. Mostly it's just stickers, and with a small sticker, and I'm not charging on top 100%, so it's just like 20% or 30% here and there. And sometimes in the end I sell one sticker and I get 15 euro cents out of it at the end of the day. So yeah, your mileage may vary. What else have I missed? Frank says, well, it's not just that. The aperture on his camera is kind of reasonable. It's just that these old style plates are not very sensitive at all. The ISO is, 1.5 I mentioned earlier. Exactly. 1.5 is, I mean, when I was taught photography, the default was ISO 100. So with every doubling of the ISO, essentially if you shoot 1 second, expose 1 second at ISO 100 is the same thing as if you expose 2 seconds at ISO 50 or 4 seconds at ISO 25. And you can see how it ramps up from there, because it's always halving and halving and halving. So this is ISO of 1.5 is really 25 minutes exposure time in broad daylight for something, indeed. Jerem says, maybe I should just print shirts and stickers myself. Yeah, that's the other thing that I also thought about. Then, of course, the thing is shipping and postage, which is another big thing. And in Austria, at least I have to have a license, which is called Fernmeldeabsatz something. It's a long German word, which means that I need to register as a business that I'm legally allowed to sell things via mail. And this also means that I have to offer a money back guarantee for 14 days, unless it's I have a signed agreement that the person says, I essentially a waiver that they do not need the right to. It gets complicated, but again, shipping costs, and of course if you have lots of things, you also probably should see if you where you can store these things. And so storage might be an issue, and so on and so forth. So I'm torn what to do, because like I said, it's as a European or Austrian citizen, I can sell my stickers if they are below a threshold, which they always are, but the designs of my stickers. But as soon as I do the actual shipping and processing myself, I'm in a different category of trade or something. So it might get complicated, just so you know. Jerem says, if the license is like 100 euros a year, maybe it's worth it. I don't know. Yes, maybe, but then there are things as well that come with it that are where maybe you reach a different tax bracket. Again, I recall that I've read into this once and I thought, oh dear, this is not worth the hassle, because I'm also having, of course, my trade as a colorist and my trade as a influencer, content creator, which in Austrian law I'm a ad agency. I think I've mentioned this before. So I'm registered as an ad agency so that I can do videos and stuff. which is kind of weird. But again, it says exactly what I'm allowed to do, and just mailing things for money I cannot do. But of course, what I could do, which is a little bit of a gray area, was since I'm on Patreon and people support me on Patreon via a monthly fee, and I send them a gift in the form of stickers and notepads. So I'm not selling them the actual notepads, I'm sending them gifts. So again, it's like, how well does this work with the law? But overall, so far, I mean, I'm just a small fry. So far, I haven't heard back of any of it. Frank says, the other camera, the Olympus Pen E2, is a 1960s half-frame compact camera with fully automatic exposure control that doesn't even need a battery for that. That is amazing. I didn't know that this was possible, that you have a fully automatic exposure control without the need of a battery. Because I remember my first single lens reflex camera, that is a Canon AE1 from the early 80s or something. It has a battery, so just for the exposure meter. Wow. Andrew says, I have to head out. Thanks for the great stream, nerding out over photogrammetry and cameras. Oh, you're very welcome. Glad you enjoyed it. And again, thank you for sticking with this stream, and have a wonderful week, Andrew. Bye-bye. Jerem says, true. That's a lot cooler to send stuff for patrons. Exactly. And one of the cool things with Patreon is that they also can do the merch sending automatically. So if I say, hey, I have a sticker, and everyone who has been supporting me for 6 months at this level automatically receives the sticker after they supported me for 6 months. Of course, I pay Patreon to manufacture and send out the stickers, which of course is not free for me, but at least it relieves me of the burden to keep track of this myself and do the sending of these things as well. Because as some of you remember, I did this last year with the Pixel Prophecy notepads, and so far one notepad has not been received. And I know this because it was returned to me recently because it was not collected. And the package went to Ukraine, and it's amazing that the other package that went there was received indeed, which is kind of cool when you think about it. But again, it's quite a hassle. One package I had to send to, I think it was Montenegro, and I had to spend in the end like 40 or 50 bucks to get it there. Despite the actual worth of goods in there is, of course, like $5 or something. And like I said, since it was my gift to my patrons, I for the most part, I mean, some very graciously offered to pay me the shipping costs. But in the end, I thought, yeah, this is probably going to be, for the time being, a one-off offer, because in the end I paid like in total like 400 euros just on shipping all the paper. But because as soon as you ship something internationally, weight really becomes a problem. And if you have like 3 notepads, suddenly it's over 250 grams. It doesn't count as a traditional letter anymore, and suddenly it's a parcel and needs tracking and so on and so forth. And they just charge you premium for that. Far out, says Jerem. Thank you, Cursiboo. I'm talking myself into a rage right now. Anyway, you know what? I still got good half an hour. Let's play something. Let's do something. Let's chill. By the way, I hope the music in the background was not too annoying, too distracting. But since no one complained, should be all right. What should we play? I got lots of things, but I mean, I could do a quick game of Command and Conquer, which probably is not very interesting to any of you, because yeah, with Command and Conquer, this has been my favorite game in my youth, and you can see here the remastered collection. I played for over 240 hours, and you probably ask, is it really that interesting to play all the campaigns over and over? And I say, no, I play multiplayer, but against the computer, and I have all pretty much, you know what, let's play it. Let's play it and just do a quick skirmish. And because this is what I've been playing. I've been just playing skirmishes against the computer player, because I want to finish at least one play on all the maps that come with Command & Conquer. I think it's 100 maps or something. user-generated or not, that come with it. So yeah, let's try this. Jerem says, please do. Yeah, you're welcome. Zen says, a little off topic. Of course, always off topic is always fun here. Right now, but I've heard you talk about the film styles. Roger Rabbit. Have you guys seen The Lord of the Rings by Ralph Bakshi from 1987? Did rotoscoping die, or is it just too much effort? I have not seen it, but I have heard good things about this. And good question. I think rotoscoping, I mean, we kind of see it in a different sense today, because motion capture essentially is just taking real life motions and transferring them to the medium of our choice. So I think motion capture, you see it everywhere, is nowadays our rotoscoping. But of course, you can only use it up to a certain degree, because if you have, let's say, a cartoon character like Roger Rabbit, but he moves like a person, it's going to be super weird and will feel super nightmare fuel inducing probably. So yeah, I think where I've seen rotoscoping in animation is with pixel art games. Because there are some tools. I think it's called Paint of Persia. It's an overlay that you can, anywhere on your desktop, you can draw up a window there, and you can paint and pixel in this window. And of course, you can do this on top of a video. Then you advance the video by 1 frame and paint the next frame of animation. And when you're just animating like 32 by 32 pixels of a guy going logging a tree or something, suddenly you have a very fluid and realistic animation by rotoscoping. So this is where I've seen it. Right, okay, let's play one skirmish game. So yeah, these are all the skirmish maps that are there, and I've been playing them from top to bottom. And right now here I'm at Island Wars Extreme Mega, and of course I've been playing in them with hard enemies, so that this doesn't take too long. Let's take a map so near, so far. Rivers, run the gauntlet, sure. Let's take a 4-player map. Like I said, that this doesn't take ages. Hastings, I mean, this could be fun. Sen says, ooh, that's interesting, I need to look that up. You're very welcome. Glad I could help you. So I'm playing on hard and random factions for myself and all the NPCs or AI players, and I will quickly change the category to Command and Conquer, and probably not and Conquer. There we go, Command and Conquer Remastered, and we'll stop the music that we can hear some of the great tracks from Frank Klepacki. So let's play this. So I'm yellow, Pixel Prophecy, and I'm playing as Spain. So first make sure that the master volume is there, that you can hear it, and that we have some music playing.
Yes, sir.
Hopefully
Affirmative.
The music plays.
Awaiting affirmative. Acknowledge. Yes, sir. Affirmative. Awaiting
So I
orders.
have a
Construction
strategy,
Reporting. Affirmative.
a
Building.
certain kind of build
Acknowledge.
order that
Awaiting
I always
knowledge.
follow.
Reporting knowledge.
And the trick is just to be a little
Construction
bit faster
complete.
than, of course, the
Construction
enemy.
options.
So
Be
first, of
affirmative.
course,
Building.
I plant here a power plant so that I can
Construction
construct anything
complete.
else. Then my
Construction
barracks and
options.
my ore.
Awaiting orders.
Building.
Acknowledge.
So the yellow thing here, for those who don't know
Acknowledge.
Command and Conquer, the yellow thing is ore. You need to farm this
Affirmative.
to get money.
Affirmative.
And
Vehicle. Reporting.
of course,
Yes, sir. Knowledge.
you need a
Vehicle.
refinery
Reporting.
that sends
Acknowledge.
out a collector,
Reporting.
an ore
Yes, sir. Affirmative.
gatherer,
Yes, sir. Acknowledge.
a harvester as it's called
Yes,
in the
sir.
game.
Affirmative.
And yeah, for this I need this refinery.
Acknowledge.
To be able to build things, I have here this construction yard, it's called. If this is gone, then I cannot build
Reporting
any more
once.
buildings.
Yes, sir.
So
Affirmative.
essentially,
Awaiting
this
orders.
means
Acknowledge.
pretty much you have lost if your main building is gone. And
Construction
you see this
complete.
green thing here, this is
Affirmative.
already the harvester of the enemy, because I'm playing here
Construction
against
options.
Yes, sir.
Building.
Affirmative.
hard computer
Yes, sir. Affirmative.
AI player. It means
Affirmative.
they get
Yes, sir.
they are much
Acknowledge.
faster
Construction
in
complete.
terms of build processes
Building.
and so on. So essentially
hold.
they're cheating.
Vehicles reporting. Affirmative.
And they have their base right here. I'm just trying to
Acknowledge.
take out one of their
Acknowledge.
Unit lost. Construction
because
complete.
they will now come
Building.
from my base.
Training.
I don't
Yes,
really
sir.
have
Affirmative.
anything that I can throw against them. You see here, the enemy tank is following me. All my
Unit
other
ready.
tanks
Waiting
are already
order.
gone. So I move them here into my base.
Yes, sir. Affirmative.
While they attack my harvester.
Reporting.
No, don't attack
Unit
my
ready.
harvester.
Training.
Reporting. Acknowledge.
Construction
Yes,
Because
sir.
again, with the
Acknowledge.
harvester, I need this.
Yes, sir.
Unit
Unit
Affirmative.
ready.
So, but
Training.
here, finally, I have to here close
Reporting.
my
Acknowledge.
base.
is under
Here to
attack.
my base.
Unit ready.
Here are
Training.
defenses.
Yes, sir.
Okay,
At
good.
one.
So
Yes, sir.
I
Acknowledge. Yes, sir.
Protected
Unit
my
ready.
harvester, but I
Affirmative.
only have now this one tank, and it has half of the energy left. So probably I need to do something about it. Right, what have I missed? Game voice is pretty loud. Oh dear, thank you. Thank you. Bring down the master volume. Thank you. Audio. We can't hear you over the game. Oh dear. Should be better now. Is it better? Thank you so much. Yeah, that was the problem with Command and Conquer, that I'm in such a hurry sometimes that I didn't see the chat. Okay, thank you for making me aware of this. I was a little bit afraid that my audio was completely gone, but at least it's the opposite this time. So what you just witnessed was the enemies trying to come at my harvester, but the good thing is the bloody thing survived. And now I need to do something about the defense of my base. Because as you can see here, they are guarding the harvester with like 3 infantry troops. And my harvester is here just pretty much on its own. So infantry troops, they are kinda vulnerable. Because enemy tanks can just mow override them. They can just drive over them and it's over for them. So, but of course, they're like mosquitoes. If you have a lot of them, they can be pretty annoying to an enemy, especially if they aren't stationed on top of each other, where one tank can drive over them. So here I have now my weapons factory, which means I can make another war truck and I can make more tanks. Also have to make sure that no one is attacking me from there, but so far so good. Jerem Watt says much better. Frank says hello again. Yeah, good that you can hear me. Jerem says, what can we do to get your attention better in the future? Yeah, that's the thing. I don't really know. I've already thought about this, where maybe I need a command that you can have in the chat that flashes somewhere on my screen, where it's like, hey Phil, emergency, you should really look at this. But yeah, good question. I thought first maybe some sound, but I rarely play, especially in the summer. I rarely play with my headphones on, at least if I know the game or what the audio is doing. So probably then I won't be hearing it. But yeah, good question. I mean, what you did right now with spamming the chat with the technical difficulties emote, that helped a lot actually, because I knew, I just thought it out of the corner of my eye, knew, okay, something is off. Thank you. Kirsty says we could hear most of you, but the balance was way off. Okay, maybe yeah, a command that mods can use. Exactly. Or I mean, if it's used like 3 times in a row from 3 different people or something, then probably it. Maybe really if it's just the technical difficulties emote that triggers something on my end. So yeah, let's move this game further along. So the thing here is, as you can see here, these resources are finite. At some point they will be gone. So I need to make the most of my money that I have here. I mean, the good thing is it grows a little bit, and around those holes here it grows. I mean, everything here is tile based, but the time it takes to grow it takes a bit longer than, of course, to harvest that. So I have to, like I said, to make the most of it. Easy, adding something to the automated unicorn. Yeah, it just has to integrate here. Now we have radar up here, and oh, there are even more harvesters. So looks like the blue AI player already is out of resources wherever they are. So this is why they are sending the harvesters here to our side. So if I attack the harvesters now, of course, the AI player knows, okay, my harvesters are vulnerable. I need to make sure they don't take damage or not, or aren't attacked. So as soon as you attack one of their harvesters, chances are that they are sending their tanks out of their base. Right now I created here the tech center. The cool thing about the tech center is, I mean, it takes up a lot of power, so I create another power plant. That's not the cool part about it, but the cool part is that I can uncover the map with it. It just takes a bit of time. You can see here it's the GPS satellite. It takes a bit of time. So, and while this is progressing, I create here a nuclear missile silo. Yeah, the game is really it's really a bit in your face when it comes to this. I mean, we will see a nuclear explosion sooner or later in this game, because it's not overpowered as you would think it is. But still it helps in getting rid of the enemies and taking them out effectively and quickly. So right now my tanks, you can see here, my tanks aren't doing too well. I already lost a couple of them, so probably need some way to repair them. But first, again, I have to wait until the missile silo is completed, that I can do this. Okay, so the enemy now has 3 harvesters. And oh, look at this, there is a crate here. This is essentially a random chance that maybe we get money, maybe we get... Yeah, we got money. This is good, because we can always need money. In other times, maybe we get random chance that we might have more troops, or a surprise tank or something. Or the thing could explode and take the unit that I brought there with it. So let's take out here this harvester while it tries to run for cover. Never mind, that's too dangerous. So hopefully nothing comes from this side, because I'm having here my base fortified towards this side. But now we have here the GPS satellite is preparing, the atom bomb is loading, so which means I can make another power plant and make certain that I can go on the offense and not live there on the defense for now. So which means I usually do this by using helipads, because death comes from above in my games. You see this harvester just went over my... Can you please shoot this thing before it escapes? Incredible. Finally, okay, good. Okay, so this tank might not survive it, or this unit, but this was a troop transporter, so this is why there were suddenly now everything was there were bazooka troopers here. But yeah, this tank is about to die, so probably have to build a service depot which allows me to repair. Oh dear, damn it, the red enemy, the red menace is here. I didn't expect this. So this is the other computer. Oh dear, and they are launching their attack, especially from this side that I did not fortify against. So, and they're going for the atom bomb. That's not good. Oh yeah, they just took out our nuclear arsenal. And yeah, I'm going to sell this now. So hopefully I can survive this. So now the map has been revealed, as you can see there, and you can see how these enemies are fighting with each other. So I barely survived this. We have lost our nuclear arsenal and we have lost our helipad, but at least we can repair here our collector. The problem is here now to get to the other fields of ore. They are pretty much guarded by the enemy, so I'm not going there. I just try to make the most with what I have right now. So this is just this tank and this one helicopter. I'm building another one. And as soon as the tank is repaired, I will have it go up there to defend against this troop transporter. Because my poor harvesters cannot defend themselves. So, and this was bad, because in this troop transporter there were now... Yeah, they just took out my entire... my last remaining tank. But they're close here to my barracks, which means I can recruit troops to take out the attacking bazooka guys. And this one here, this one with the hard hat, that's an engineer. They can not defend themselves, but if they enter a building, they can overtake it, which is also usually not what you want. So I'm repairing this now and making another helipad, because again, I'm running out of funds. You can see up here how much money I still have. And I will try to get as many helicopters as I can, and then just try to make the most out of that. So you can see here, these green dots means the harvesters are now filled. So at least there is still some resources we got in that one. So Frank says, I'm going to start thinking about going to sleep. It might seem early for me, but I'm recovering from a bad cold or flu. Yeah, always good. Please, Frank, you probably are gone right now, which is a good case. Always rest and make sure you get the rest that you need. Thank you so much for our nerdy talk about photography, and you probably all are already gone, so have a great week, Frank. Thank you so much. And Sen says, good night and quick recovery. Oh, that's nice. Martijn is here. I think in general the CNC remaster is fine, but I can't get used to the 3-column buildings list. Yeah, it's more than 1 column that we had in the old days. But so far I have adjusted to it. And the cool thing is, by hitting space, you can do the good old thing of, yeah, this is how it... Oh, look, there is another crate. We need this crate. Hopefully it contains money, because that is what we need. So yeah, with the space, this is how it looked in the good old DOS days. Yeah, it was money. Good. So now we can build some more helipads. So if you compare this to the likes of Warcraft or something, it's rather minimalist, but I like it because it's not hero driven or something. It's really, you can do a tank rush and win. By the way, I do not need 2 harvesters now, so I'm going to sell this 1 harvester here, and I also sold the service depot. This happens sometimes. This was not intentional. Anyway, hopefully we won't need it for now. And I'm going to have group here now my 4 helicopters. And you probably have seen it here. I'm going to attack the enemy construction yard, because without this one they cannot build any more buildings. And what building would the enemy build if they could? Probably air defense. So this is why I'm taking this out. So this already was... Okay, there we have some enemy harvesters here, but I'm not paying them any attention for now. The thing is, I'm moving here my guys to safety, because the harvesters might go over them. Oh, and now look at this. They have found here the last remaining ore in the entirety of the map. So this means actually we have a little trap here for the enemies. Because they are in reach here of my base defenses. And the enemy, despite being on the highest difficulty level, at some point, yeah, they aren't too good. As you see here, as soon as the resources run out, it's more of a stalemate, so to speak. At least amongst the enemies. While for me, all I will do now is strategically take out 1 building after the other here of the enemy. So we have some losses here, but not as many. And yeah, so oh look, there is another crate. Should I send for it? But we don't have any units that can go there. It's crazy how little ore on this map is. Tiberium. No, in this I'm playing Red Alert, so this is ore. In Command and Conquer, it's Tiberium, but here in Red Alert, that is set in an alternative 1940s, but with super units, I think. It's ore. And there was more ore before. I hope I don't bore you with these details, but yeah, it's all used up. So this went very quickly on this map here. So the enemy now sold their weapons factory, which means they have money left now, which they can recruit like these bazooka guys, and the bazooka guys can shoot at my air units. And since I do not have a service depot anymore, I cannot repair them. So let's build a service depot. But again, I do not have any means of getting new funds. So with whatever I have to make do. And also, of course, repairing costs a bit of money. So that's another thing that I need to pay attention to. But one thing that we can, the reserve that we still have in terms of money is we can get rid of the radar tower. Because once we have here our tech center, which launched the GPS satellite, yeah, we're still here in the 40s, apparently. I do not need the radar tower anymore. The problem is when someone destroys the tech center, the entire map goes black again. So everything then is hidden in the fog of war. And look at these guys here. They're going to attack now my base. So maybe I should invest some of our meager funds there in some defense. So I'm going here for a bunker. So we have two different types. These are the turrets that are good against vehicles, and the bunkers are good against infantry. So since we got both here, I think we should be fine. So we got our helicopters repaired, and we can attack the last building the enemy can recruit units from. So I'm going to take some hits here, hopefully not too many. So let's get back. The zoom is pretty slick. Yeah, this back then we didn't have this, but now the game can be played in 4K. So that's pretty cool. So you can see here that this one bazooka guy is pretty strong against our turret here. And also this unit here has taken a lot of damage, but so far I think we're not looking too bad. Still got lots of funds left, so I can use my aerial units, hopefully to safely take out the enemies. Again, the green little dots here is the number of missiles that each unit has. And they can only restock the missiles when they're on the helipads. And since the enemy took out one of my helipads, yeah, I have to shuffle them around. Martin says, I used to be able to tell from a glance, but I haven't played this in ages. Yeah, whether it's Red Alert or Command and Conquer, the original one, the Tiberium Dawn. Yeah, same for me. But again, I've been playing this now for 200 hours in the past year. So yeah, I'm fully back in this. So the cool thing is now that this enemy does not, the only thing they can recruit troops from is this little doghouse. And even on the highest difficulty setting, they never recruit dogs. By the way, dogs are very good against infantry, but of course, as soon, yeah, and now this enemy just gave up. And why did they give up? Because, again, they don't have any points where they can recruit infantry from anymore. And they also cannot build any more buildings. So as soon as a computer enemy has lost their construction yard, their weapons factories, and their barracks, and all of them, not just one, then they are very likely to give up. So, taking some hits here. Oh, just one. So, we're out of resources, but so are the enemies. So again, this means now it's just a game of, oh, it's a game of there's another crate. Quickly get to the crate because they might disappear after a minute or so. So we have a lot of money now. Let's build another missile silo because I promised you a nuclear explosion. Yeah, with this kind of stream now.
Yes, sir. Acknowledged. Vehicle reporting. Yes, sir. Acknowledged.
One more helicopter would be good. Yeah, indeed. I think 5 helicopters. You can take out most buildings with a volley of 5 helicopters. So the good thing is the enemy does not have any money left, so they cannot repair. And what their harvesters harvest are just scraps that grow back, and it's just too little to be worth anything.
Yes, sir.
And my 2 guys here almost dead, but still good enough against a bazooka, a missile-toting infantry guy. So I'm restocking now my helicopters, I'm repairing them, and the missile silo is already completed, and yes it is, and this time it's relatively safe because, like I said, the enemy doesn't have the resources anymore to be a big problem. They're going to be a bit of a pain in the ass, but nonetheless, I think we're home safe. Martin says, I forgot, is there no way to heal up infantry? Yes, there is. You can build here this medic, but the medic is super expensive. The medic costs like 8 times of a rifle infantry. So this is why I rarely use the medics. Unless, of course, I'm flush with resources. So it's better in our case if I buy here a pillbox. Again, that's a bunker that's very good against infantry, which costs half as much as the medic. So as soon as I plop it here, all the infantry that's going to attack us will be no problem for us. See? Gone. So let's heal this helicopter, stock up on this one. And we can see here a bit of the ore is growing back around this mine hole or something. So I'm going to either save this for us or lure the enemy closer. So yeah, but let's keep taking out the enemy structures one by one. In the meantime, our atom bomb is charging. Tells us here that it takes 6.5 minutes for one bomb. And like I said, it's not overpowered. It's not going to destroy all the buildings at once. So yeah, enemy just sold their weapons factory, which means they just have enough funds to be a bit of a problem here. They're sending us this buggy over. And this buggy is relatively strong against infantry. So let's hope that it doesn't get closer to us. Martin says, I don't think I ever bothered with a medic either. I only do when I have super special units like the Tanya unit. This is a unit that is pretty deadly, where you can one-shot other civilians, and when she gets close to buildings, she can plant C4 and blow up entire buildings. But of course, you have essentially you trade her power that you have versus control, because you have to control Tanya unit because otherwise she might be, like I said, if she runs into infantry and there's more of 1 or 2, then they will attack her. So this means I have to babysit her all the time and cannot take stock of what else is happening there on the battlefield. So this. Again, I used here the lure of this ore field here to have the enemy harvester here, which I just took out with the helicopters that were surprisingly handy close by. Great game you got there, says Command Stitch. Yes, thank you. It's, I mean, Command & Conquer is said to be very old school because it's not as sophisticated in its systems as, say, Warcraft 3, for that matter, or even games like, what was it, Total Annihilation. But I like it because it's so simple, it's so pure. It's like, it feels a bit like the first Diablo versus the second Diablo, where it's all the fun is there, but it's not overwhelming, and you can still go for a round in between, let's say, your lunch break. I never play this on my lunch break actually, but it's that sort of game where in a sense it's a bit of a feel-good game, because it never gets too taxing, only a bit frantic at times, as we've seen before when I couldn't react to to the chat when you all told me that the game was way too loud for what it is. Martin says, did I ever mention when I got Diablo 1 I didn't know what sort of game it was? Please no. What sort of game did you think it was? I played Diablo at a friend's house the first time, and I recall we were spending a lot of time just exploring Tristram. I'm not sure if we even, in the first day that we played it, we understood that we were supposed to go into the cathedral and where the game was happening. We just were happy running around and exploring and talking to people and not understanding much because the entire game was English. My English has grown better, not much, but a little. Okay, so this the red enemy can only build vehicles now. So when we take out his weapons factory, or there we go, its weapon factory, then we should be home free, because sooner or later this enemy will give up. And our atom bomb is almost ready, and then we can demonstrate it here on whatever remains of that enemy. I expected there to be more towns or other stuff in the world, says Martine. Oh, interesting. I thought it was sort of an adventure-like game. So I was talking to everyone in town, and I was very surprised why they kept sending me down the dungeon. And I didn't understand why we were not progressing beyond the starting village. Of course, yeah. When you don't know, you don't know. Yeah, did you play Diablo 2? Because hopefully then everything should have been addressed, all your confusions. But I mean, it makes total sense if you're expecting a different kind of game. Oh, look at this. There's another crate, but for now I will ignore it because, oh, looks like the enemy is mounting a last-ditch effort. Well, in that case, let's make sure that they... Oh, damn it. Okay, we have a bit of a problem here because I don't think we can... the tank will take apart our pillbox here. And I don't have enough money left, but I said here our iron reserve here is the radar tower, and I will sell this. And damn it! Because if you can sell it before it gets destroyed, you can still get the money or half of the money for it. But I'm still lacking the money to build here this turret. Oh, but we just outlasted the enemy, so they just gave up. They just gave up. So, are you ready for the atom bomb? Let's, yeah, for maximum effort, let's detonate it here. I will zoom in a little. Bam! You see, it was actually not that impressive. But now I can have a much easier time taking out here the barracks of the enemy. Okay, Martin was not interested in Diablo. I didn't think I ever played the later ones. They seem pretty much the same to me. Yeah, that's the thing. Send your helis to kill in the tank. Yeah, too late for the tank. The world's tiniest atom bomb, right? I mean, if it would be an atom bomb, the entire map would be gone. But yeah, it's a bit like the atom bombs that you have in the Fallout series, where it's more or less just, yeah, like a big bazooka. So what are they throwing at me? Okay, the enemy now has, of course, rediscovered they can use their harvesters. So probably I should not take too long. And why is this not repairing? Well, because we do not have any funds left. So I'm going to sell. Oh, and I do not need any more infantry because it's more important that we have... Yeah, okay, maybe we do not need our helicopters at full health because this is the last remaining building and doesn't look like there's only one bazooka guy up here. Oh, okay, there's another one. Maybe we have a problem because the enemy now has money. But maybe this is just enough. Yes. Okay, so basically we've won this. Thank you everyone for sticking with me. And now it's just a matter of time until the blue enemy, the cyan one, gives up, and then we can take inventory and see how well I played. So yeah, of course, it's not because I play this well, it's just because that the computer enemies are pretty predictable and pretty stupid. As soon as you survive their first rushes, you're good to go, as you've seen it, and that's a mission accomplished for us. The only problem is when you spawn somewhere in the middle of the map and you suddenly have, because all the enemies pretty much have the same AI, they pretty much decide at the same time to mount an attack, and suddenly like 3 enemies are attacking from 3 sides, and then it's very hard to survive this. But look at us, we gathered 7,100 resources compared to the red player, which got more than double what we had. But all good, because the buildings, we raised 4 buildings and did this in a time of 30 minutes. So usually an 8-player game against the computer usually takes me about 40 to 60 minutes. Cool. This was refreshing, I have to say. And with that, it's almost midnight here, and tomorrow is another grueling work week ahead of me. So thank you so much for sticking with me and looking into photogrammetry, hearing me nerd out with Frank about cameras and how the bellows cameras and coating your own glass plates and the wet photo process and so on and so forth. So thank you for this, and even we even played a bit of good old Command & Conquer. Throwback time. Jerem says, will you do CNC on stream again sometime? If there's interest. I think I played one mission of CNC before and there was little interest for this. And I'm also not playing against humans because they will just wipe the floor with me, which I'm not very interested in. But if there's demand, sure. So next time, if you bring it up and no one complains against it, sure, we will play some more CNC. Martijn says, thank you for streaming. As always, I say thank you for being here, for being part of the stream, for making me talk into the camera without any breaks for 3 hours again. Again, thank you so much for making this possible for me, because I'm having it's always a nice time hanging with my internet friends. So thank you. Kirsty says, won't complain about nerding out about stuff. Wonderful. Sometimes I feel like, you know me, when I'm on a tangent that I like, I will stick to this tangent, and even if it bugs and jumps around, I will just cling to this darn tangent and ride it into the sunset, and then maybe hop onto another tangent that comes right back and hopefully continue the stream that I left off. And congrats on winning Eurovision, says Martijn. Yeah, thank you so much. Netherlands was very, very nice. I liked the song a lot. It was very cool. But then the sad part was I feel like the song from Switzerland, that was also very good. And for those who have watched the Eurovision Song Contest, Switzerland, the special thing about their performance was, apart from a very, very well sung song, was they filmed it with a camera lens, as I think it was a Zeiss lens from the 70s, that it was super, I think, fast is the saying, which means you can... a lot of the light that gets through it goes onto the aperture, which gives the entire image a sort of a Caravaggio painting-like thing. So essentially, I think Barry Lyndon from Kubrick, where all you need is one light source. And they filmed the entire thing in just one long camera shot with it. And as a colorist, I said, beautiful. It looked amazing. Also, the song was nice. Martijn says, does Austria hate Switzerland, or are the Alps buddies against the world? A good question. I'm not quite sure. I think with Austria and Switzerland, we have a little bit, because we're always all the somewhat German-speaking countries, you would think, yeah, they band together. But no, I think Austrians, we feel, okay, the Swiss people, we are slightly suspect, or what's the word? Yeah, we're unsure about Swiss people. I mean, Germans, we can handle, especially Bavarians. Bavarians are mostly Austrians with just a slightly different accent, but Bavarians are kind of Austrians. But with Swiss people, they're more like Germans. They're super thorough, they're very clean, they're very precise, and as Austrians, we're more like Italians in that way, that we're a bit more easygoing, a bit more lenient, and I think this is why the Swiss people are a bit weird to us, I feel. Enoch says, as a Swede, I say that we need more sauna in the world. I say so too. And the funny thing here is, because I've been streaming without the windows open, so the windows are closed, all I can say is Ixi Gaxi Kolme Sauna. That's what we have here right now. Can't trust French speakers, says Martijn. This makes sense. Yeah, with French speakers, I noticed with the song contest, one thing is that if people weren't singing in their own language or in English, as Austria did, they were singing in French. And why is that? And I feel because the French people are slightly aloof, because it always feels like when they're checking in with the judges and the different countries, everyone is saying hello to the hosts, and only France they do everything in French. They're not even considering talking English. No, everything is French for them. And I have a feeling that maybe people singing in French or having parts of their song in French, maybe they're somewhat hoping to get some of the public vote from French-speaking countries, I feel. I could be mistaken, but I get kind of the feeling. I can't trust French speakers. Okay, I still was talking about Switzerland. Oh yeah, Swiss, French, and Schweizerdeutsch. Yeah, that's the weirdest part. Schweizerdeutsch. Oh, one thing is that reminds me. There are different Germans. For example, you have Austrian German, then of course there's German, and there is Swiss German, which is called Schweizerdeutsch. And it has a different diction than Austrian German. And it always feels a little bit funny to us. And why I'm saying this, Baldur's Gate 2, when it came to the German-speaking world, it was completely localized and all the voiceovers were in German. And the cool thing that you have with English speakers is, for example, that you can work with different dialects, as we see in fantasy, where the heroes are talking usually English, a very, very refined English, and the dwarves are talking a little bit Scottish, right? So, and you can give them flavor like this. In German, when a show is dubbed in German, everyone is talking the German, the norm German, so this gets lost. And for Baldur's Gate 2, they thought, they try to do this with different accents within Germany and German speakers, which on one hand makes total sense. The other thing is they were the first to do this and probably the last to do this, because when a sorcerer says something like, I will defeat you with my might and magic, or something, you get, ooh, okay, this sounds serious. But if the same speaker says this in Schweizerdeutsch, it doesn't sound threatening anymore. It sounds funny. And I think this one saying from this game that I still joke is so in English the line is tremble before my might. When a sorcerer says this, of course you tremble because you're afraid. But if a Swiss person says this, it sounds like this: zittert vor meiner Macht. So it's kind of cute, and this reminded me of again, it was a tangent. Right. What else have I missed? Enoch says, funny though that the Swedish contribution was made by Finns. Yeah, I mean Finland. The Finns are always very strong. I feel like the Scandinavian countries always have very, very strong entries, and because I like entries that are super silly and wacky. And again, the Finns and the Swedes, I think the Swedes take themselves a little bit more seriously than the Finns and the Norwegians, but not by a lot. But still, it's funny. I'm into this trend of not singing English. Yeah, me too. Again, I think one of my favorite was Latvia, the singing elves, the singing fairies, because again, it feels, it has something. I also like it. And sung in Finnish, Swedish. Yeah, the sauna song. Exactly. Yeah, I liked it about. Yeah, even with my wife, we also, I think she said also to me something like, let's go to sauna, because it's just fun, even if you don't know what it means. You just have fun saying the lyrics. Martijn says, I feel Dutch feels a bit funny to German speakers too. Yes, once when we were in the Netherlands, and our tour guide said, because this was all Germans in the bus, and they self-deprecatingly said, to German speakers, Dutch is just an inflammation of the throat. It's not a language. And of course, the bus erupted in laughter, but I think sometimes also with certain Austrian dialects, it feels like this is how you talk. It sounds like it hurts. But frankly, I feel when you have someone talk with a Dutch accent, I feel like it's pretty much the same as when German speakers hear someone, as German speakers hear someone with an Austrian accent. It's kind of nice and endearing. And I always felt like my Austrian accent when in Germany is super obvious. And it's like, yeah, I always feel like, yeah, I'm not talking the nice German. But always people told me, no, it's a very, very endearing and nice dialect. And I said, yeah, I can't shake it. It's not unlike Swiss German. Yeah, Swiss German is much harder, I feel. Jerem says, lol, and like how Danish sounds to Swedes. Apparently, yeah, that's also something that I was curious about, because I was reading, I'm reading books now by, what's his name? This one author with a name, the Oxen trilogy, and there are also, it's set in Denmark, but then there's also Sweden, and apparently people they all talk the same language. And I find this fascinating because it feels a little bit like, yeah, with German and Austria and Germany and Austria and Switzerland and to a degree Netherlands, right? So it's where the languages are very related so that you can almost understand people there. So interesting. So Danish sounds to Swedes a little bit endearing. That's nice. Cool. Okay, so now I've gone on many tangents as well. So the only thing that I can say to you is have a wonderful week, everyone. Next week, the stream will be on Saturday. I don't know what it will be about. Maybe we're doing some programming again, because I miss doing programming, but I hardly have the time to do programming. Right now, I'm working on the final dialogue of my text-based comedy adventure game featuring cute little beans. And again, it's not so much programming, it's just wrapping your head around a non-linear dialogue that should hit certain points and also should be a little bit gamey and so on. So yeah, that's the thing that's been worrying me for the past weeks. But as soon as this is done, finally I can say my game will go into beta, and I will let you know. I'm desperate for any beta testers, so yeah, you will know it when it's ready. Martijn says, thanks again, see you later. And I can only say, have a wonderful week, everyone. And zittert vor meiner Macht.